recording now? All right, thank you very much. All right, we are now calling this meeting to order. Madam Secretary, time is now 7:04 p.m. I want to thank everyone for coming to our first executive committee meeting for 2026. I hope everyone had a very happy and blessed year, and I'm looking forward to great things coming from this committee and from the board. I thank everyone. I hope everyone is good and good health and spirits, and everything's well with your families as well. Let us begin with a brief round of introductions for the executive committee. If we can start with the treasurer.
Good evening. I'm like, who's that? Hi, this is Lina Lagute. I'm the treasurer of CB9. Hi. And the chair of the housing committee. It's very rushed.
Oh, go ahead, continue.
Oh, sorry. Hi, my name is Linda Watson Lord, and I'm the secretary of CB9.
Yeah, Ethan Norville, first vice chair of community department.
Fred Baptiste, chair of CB9, also serving as public safety chair.
Felice Robertson, second vice chair, CB9.
Kendall Christensen, I chair the Environmental Protection Committee.
Go ahead, Suki.
Suki Chong, I chair the land use and ULURP committee.
Putting you on the spot there.
Vanessa Raptopoulos, I chair the Economic Development Committee.
Okay, thank you to all the chairs for joining us this evening as well. And with that, I hear a quorum of the executive committee. So we are now going to begin. We're going to go into the committee chair check-in. Are there any brave souls who wish to go first?
I know you're here first. Go first.
The Environmental Protection Committee did meet last week. We had a nice gathering of, I don't know, 6 or 8 people. No action items, but always a robust conversation around what's going on at the hyper-local level with trash collection, street cleaning, corner flooding and the like. We talked a little bit about flood mitigation. It's been a recurring theme. We're not a targeted area because we're sort of in a downslope and water flows south from here. But there are other parts of the borough that are getting more attention on things like detaching downspouts from sewer lines and the like. Not an issue here, but we're sort of in that conversation. That's it.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions from the exec for the chair of EP?
There is a tour of the city's recycling facility on Friday, February 13th. It still has a few openings. It's in the early afternoon, like 1 or 2 o'clock. And if you're interested, let me know or let Dante know. He has the sign-up information for that.
You said the recycling?
Yeah, in Sunset Park. It's on the 29th Street Pier. Should be a lovely cold day out on the harbor.
It will smell less.
Hmm?
It will smell less.
This
It's
is
a
true.
recycling facility. It doesn't smell at all. I think
The chair said that the glass is half full. There we go. Very good. I know, Kat. All right, and for the record, we also have our member at large, Kat Busello, as well. I'm just
Hi, Kat.
Hi.
That's me. Could you put my coat right there?
okay.
It's kind of heavy.
All right. Oh, so for members of the exec, any questions for the EP chair?
Yeah.
You have a question?
No, I'm sorry.
No.
I was looking at Kat, sorry.
All right, thank you very much. All right, any other chairs wish to go next?
I'll go next, but I also have a question.
Sure.
Was there any discussion around flood mitigation with respect to the area on Rutland Road where the basements were flooded and somebody died? Is there any action?
I'm certainly aware of that. It was discussed a couple meetings ago as a sort of point of information, but not directly. I think there was another, help me out here, Dante, there was another group that sort of organized a local development group around that issue in part.
Yeah, Southeast Queens and something. There are some community-based organizations that are literally targeting that specific area. In my personal time, I had went to flood, so we call it like a town hall type of event. Info
Flood
session.
camp.
Yeah, and so there has been a lot of discussion around the flooding. In that session, people specifically want to figure out how we can get on maps the areas in our district that constantly flood that you will never see on like a coastal flood map
Yeah.
or anything like that. So that's been a big topic of conversation. Some of the people that were there are astute in technology, so they're thinking about how they can use AI and technology to report these things. But that's a topic of conversation. I'm connected with those folks. I have asked them kind of, okay, when do you want to connect with the board to have like a robust conversation about it? It's looking like that's probably gonna happen February, March, because I just like reconnected with them last week. But once that happens, then I will put them in contact with Kendall and they can do.
Kendall, does DEP have maps?
Yeah.
Of flood
Yes.
risk?
Yeah, they have lots of maps and lots of sort of
Okay.
target areas where they
Okay.
know that problems are more severe than
I mean,
not.
like, besides the coastal flood risk, I know at one point they had like a heavy rainstorm, sewer flooding map.
Yeah, yeah.
And I remember looking at it in 2021, right before Ida, and there were a bunch of areas of our community that were marked out, like specific street. Theirs was street by street. It was actually surprisingly accurate.
I don't recall seeing it that little, maybe not, but in the Times this last weekend about the metro section, you
Okay.
saw it to the whole coastal flooding sort of modeling exercise of
Uh-huh.
how deep into
Right.
parts of the city a Sandy type storm
Okay.
might go in an extreme situation. But that's a little different than the
Yeah, this is different. This
the
is more.
downpours.
This is more like heavy sewer overflows and heavy rainstorms. And it wasn't like, nobody's basement flooded up to like the windows or anything, but there was a lot of like people getting like a few feet of water in their basement. And it was exactly along the areas that DEP had predicted.
Yeah. Well, DP went to a system of borough commissioners about 2 years ago. And we had the Brooklyn Borough Commissioner come in about a year ago for the committee, and then I talked to her again last week. Because what I was picking up online was that in the parts of the borough that have separate storm and sanitary sewers, like Green Park, homeowners were getting letters about the law from 2018
Right.
requiring disconnect downspouts from roof gutters. And so everybody's sort of up in arms
Right.
about, DEP apparently has no intent on enforcing any of that.
Right.
But I hadn't realized that law actually, existed as a law and went back to 2018. It's intended to sort of divert rainwater from the sanitary sewers. We have combined sewers in this district, so we have a little bit larger capacity for handling, heavy rain events. But you might pick that up in other parts of the borough board, where people went crazy sort of online about, is this gonna be enforced and how do we deal with this, so.
This is an interesting conversation. I think some of the challenges we have are very specific to the district. Because when you say coastal, and I'm not sure if that applies to us in terms of coastal, because I always think of southern Brooklyn
Yeah.
and those areas. But to your point, we do have a lot of places that, they flood out constantly. And I think usually that's a matter of the maintenance of the catch basins. They haven't done that. There's some infrastructure needs that they need to do. I know the city had been talking about stormwater management in terms of how do we handle those big influxes. So this is a good conversation for us.
Well,
to
new
figure out.
developments are now supposed to manage stormwater on site.
Right.
So I don't know what the exact thresholds are for number of units or whatever, but the new buildings going up around here, theoretically, I think are supposed to be managing stormwater on site, meaning not putting it into the sewer system. So,
We could talk more about this afterwards, but I'd like to know like how they're supposed to be doing that.
Absolutely.
okay,
Thank
that's
you
it.
very much.
Thank you.
All right. Madam Chair, thanks.
I'll go next. So we had a lot of updates on some outstanding projects. 7399 Empire, where we just did a rezoning. There's still a lawsuit going on against the rezoning. Alicia Boyd and LaShawn Ellis had filed an environmental lawsuit alleging that the environmental impact statement wasn't properly done. They got a temporary restraining order, which is still in effect. I think they have a court hearing tomorrow. There is a new developer for this site. If you recall, it was flipped from the original developer to new ones. The new developer has filed new plans, which Jonte shared with me. It's 4 buildings of 99 units each, and that's because of the 99 unit building threshold. They're trying to stay under the 100 unit threshold where they have to pay higher construction wages. So we're gonna see a lot of these 99 unit buildings. So it's a lot more residential than previously. Previously, it was about 285 units and a lot less commercial. It's now 9,000 square feet of commercial compared with 100,000. So that's a big change. Another thing that implies is there may be less parking because the large number of parking spaces was due to the requirement for commercial, large commercial developments to have parking. Residential in this zone only has like a 25% parking requirement. So it's 20% of the units or 80 units will be affordable at 40% of AMI, and actually the reason they've released these plans is because they're applying to HPD for their MIH certification, so that's something that has to be done for every MIH building. And of those 80 units, or of all of the units, I think about 20% are studios, 28% are 1 bedrooms, and the remaining are 2 bedrooms. There are no 3 bedrooms. So that's all I know at the moment. The developer, like the top entity, is someone called Galaxy LLC, and then like they own some separate LLCs underneath it. The variance application at 350 Troy that had an initial hearing at the BSA. So they'll probably be going back in the next month or 2, so if we can follow up with BSA, make sure we know when the final hearing is. Commissioners actually asked a lot of the same questions that we did around, like how do you know when you're gonna stop expanding, because this is the second time they've come back to ask for a variance to expand in the last, around 20 years or so. And so they said, well, we've just decided that there's gonna be a hard cap, and after that, if there's, more need for expansion, we'll get another building. They were asking if maybe some of the bulk of the building could be put in the basement, because it is quite a large building. It's a 6 FAR in a single family zone. And they said no, because it would require a lot more disruption to the school in order to do construction on the basement. What else? And they wanted more detailed plans on trash, on school pickup and drop off because of potential for traffic, and the construction safety during, because they're planning on doing construction while the students are still in school as an session. What else? So Kingsbrook Estates, I think the work on the southern half which is gonna be senior housing, is underway. On the northern half, I think that wasn't originally slated for development, but I think it is now. And one of the issues is that there is a historic shul, and that's been closed. And the members of the congregation filed a lawsuit to stop the demolition of the shul. And apparently over the holidays, Governor Hochul's office announced that she was stepping in to stop the demolition, and she wants all parties to speak. It's not really clear what she meant by stepping in to stop the demolition, but evidently, her intention is to, have something, a settlement, come out of that, because the shul was, like, the religious services role was supposed to be part of the plan for Kingsborough, which was originally a Jewish hospital. Kingsborough Psych, we had written to the Attorney General to ask if there could be a community impact hearing. Apparently Assemblymember Cunningham said, yes, he would ask the Attorney General for a public impact hearing, so hopefully we will get some news about that and we can announce that to the public. And Rita
Rita Joseph's office said they're looking into the deed reverter issue, but nothing yet. And just to remind everyone, the issue is that there's a clause in the deed for this particular piece of land, which was originally a city-owned hospital, that was passed to the state with the condition that if it ever ceased to be used for hospital purposes, that it would revert back to the city. And if that, in the RFP, they had said that this maybe could be waived by the city, but Jay Sorod has been coming to meetings to say that if it is, before it can be waived, the law requires a public hearing at the city council level. So that's something that we need to hear an announcement about as well. Obviously, if the city chose, they could sort of push this into Euler by, you know, saying that they're going to withhold the waiver, which would obviously be the scenario where we as a community board would have the most influence. There's probably a variety of things that could, you know, that could happen there, so we'll see what happens. We talked a little bit about the work that Adam Kushner, the intern from the New York Community Foundation, is doing. He's looking at doing sort of a fair share study to see if Community Board 9 has built our fair share of housing units. And so we talked a little bit about data that we'd like him to look into. Someone also asked him to look at supportive housing beds. He's probably gonna be presenting, did we say March, Mina? Yeah, jointly to the Housing and ULURP committees. Actually, I wanna talk to you about that, the date. And then we started talking, we're planning to do, and so we also would like to invite city planning to present to our committee about City of Yes, zoning changes. It's now more possible in the lower density zoning districts in some cases, to expand, your house, which is something that people had asked about. Not in all cases though, so this is, you know, and then there's some new rules regarding accessory dwelling units, so this is something that we wanna ask them about. And also, how are the new charter amendments gonna work? This is, really important, I think, for our district, because in theory, the City Planning Commission can now authorize up to a 30% increase in market rate density anywhere in the city. And so, you know, we really wanna know what are gonna be the guidelines around that. Are they just gonna do it for whoever they feel like? Are they gonna do it, you know, like this is something that we, you know, had been a really important principle for all of us, is that if you're gonna give an upzoning, you're supposed to give affordable housing or something else. And so, now it's not clear what those rules are gonna be, and the buck doesn't even stop with the council anymore. It, you know, stops at the city planning commission. What else? And then also there may be some rule changes at the BSA. It's not clear, you know, maybe for certain types of developments, they may be able to go to the BSA and not do an environmental review, which, you know, is usually required. Like, for example, this 350 Troy Avenue thing did a full environmental review, and they would still have to do an environmental review, but certain other types of, like affordable housing buildings might not have to do an environmental review if they go to the BSA. And so it's not entirely clear what BSA can or cannot, or will or will not approve. So, that's all I have. And so for the town hall, so we're planning a town hall, on ULURP and zoning issues, and land use and zoning issues, and we were thinking kind of something along the lines of, maybe starting with getting what people's concerns are, and then moving on to some sort of zoning 101. You know, it could be like, what's your vision for the neighborhood? What are your concerns about development that's happening in your area? We're like a hybrid Zoom workshop so that more people can come. Because it's always an issue for like having people come out to specific sites because our district is so large. And we're thinking maybe doing two, one in April, one in June to coincide with the community fair. So I guess Dante will, as that shapes up, will talk to you about sites and technology and how that's gonna work. Somebody suggested making a video and to pass around on social media. All sure great ideas. And if any of you have any ideas about subjects that you'd like to see addressed or, you know, fun interactive games that you think would be helpful, definitely open and would love to hear that. Also ideas about how to promote this in different parts of your communities. Something we talked about a lot, how do we make sure that we reach people, how do we get people to come out? So any ideas that you have are welcome.
The only thing I would ask is especially for the town hall, if you have dates in mind, the sooner the better, so that way we can start locking down venues.
Okay.
So if you have an idea of what kind of parameters, how many people you want, what your needs are gonna be, so if it's hybrid, AV, what kinds of needs, so Dante and the team can start planning around that and start making arrangements for that. Okay. All right, so so there are no action items on your report for this month?
No.
Okay, that's fine. All right, members of the exec, are there any members that have questions regarding the report? Okay, go ahead.
A couple, sorry. For the Empire plan, I just wanted to ensure that I heard correctly. There's 99 units across 4 buildings.
No, it's 4 buildings, each with 99 units, so it'll be close to almost 400
396.
units, yeah.
And only 88 of them are gonna be affordable.
80 will be affordable, so 20% under MIH option 3, 20% of the units have to be affordable at 40% of AMI. Basically, the lower the AMI goes, the less units you get.
And do we know how many floors each of those buildings are gonna be? Like it's like
14.
14 floors?
Yeah.
I don't know, it just seems shady, everything that you said about that project. If I'm being honest, there's nothing that sounded.
To me,
We'll-
if I can comment on that real quick.
Well, no, let her finish and then you'll have an opportunity.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I had like 2 other questions. One with the school, they had mentioned that if they have any quest to expand further, that like they'll just have a new building. Is there documented anywhere? Because I feel like, no shade, they're also kind of shady. So they may say that and then come back in like 3 years and be like, oh, we'd like to expand again. We never said that. So is it like
So
documented
the
anywhere else?
commissioners asked them to put that in writing in their application.
And then the last thing, and this is probably a larger question, and I don't mind chatting about it afterwards, but I'm just curious, and I don't think I've ever asked. We're getting a lot of like developments, 14 stories sounds no. What is happening with this district with not getting like townhouses or like smaller home units to actually have like home ownership in this district? It's like we're losing home ownership all over.
Yeah, so, basically developers are always gonna build to the maximum that they're allowed to. Much of this district is zoned to allow buildings of any height and higher density buildings. City of Yes definitely gives them the option to go even higher, if they include affordable housing. And for these rezonings, we are seeing very large requests for increases most of the time. Most of the time with these affordable buildings, they do request to go that high, and we always say no. Or we always try to negotiate for something much lower, and we've always been overridden. Are we seeing, we are seeing new condo development. The ones that I've seen are, you know, they're like $1 million for a 2-bedroom unit. You know, and they're not generally small buildings either, simply because the zoning allows them to go bigger, and it makes sense for developers to max out the size because they can make more money. So in order for us to have homes built, it would need to be zoned for that. I mean, I guess let me put it this way. If you had a really large piece of land in a low density zoning, it might be that developers could choose to either build an apartment building, a small apartment building, or townhomes. But given our zoning, it's very unlikely that they would build townhouses.
Part of the challenge is that there's just an economic incentive to set everybody to sell big. You saw this building specifically, 7399, they sold it on the order, how many times? What was the multiple of how much they sold the building for afterwards?
It was like more than double what they bought it.
Was it only, I thought it was even more than that.
Yeah.
But the point was, they got the zoning, all of a sudden the property value, they sold for even more.
40 million,
40 million, right?
I think it was.
So, yeah, nobody's building cheap. And that's part of the problem where this whole conversation is what spurs these prices. And that's why, to your point, it makes it difficult to build affordable housing. Because everybody's trying to make their money back because they spent $40 million on a property. But that's why there needs to be more conversations in terms of how do you disincentivize that, or how do you get people, how do you incentivize building affordable housing for people? I think it was very important that you said home ownership is critical because that's part of what stabilizes neighborhoods. Making sure people have a place to live, they're vested. These big buildings, you're gonna see people here, 2-3 years and done. Next tenant, jack up the rent, and nobody builds roots here anymore. But meanwhile, the families who have built roots all of a sudden get priced down.
The richest neighborhood in Manhattan.
But let me get off the soapbox, otherwise I'll go on after this.
I mean, I could talk to you guys more about this afterwards. It was just,
Let's definitely we'll take that offline. I'm sorry, go
Yeah,
ahead.
my comment was gonna be about the 99 unit thing. Because, yeah, if already have X now, right, if you're building a building that's under 100 units, there is no wage requirement for the construction teams. But when you cross 99 and go to 100, you have to pay them 40 an hour with about 2% annual raise every year. So going from paying them nothing to going under requirement to going to a $40 an hour requirement is something that developers are going to hire many people to figure a way through, if not just have a sort of a best practice of staying under 100 units. It's going to happen everywhere, and it already is. There's waves of permits going on around the city where people are building 99 or 98 units wherever they can.
yeah, there are lots of ways to get
And they're finding everyone.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they hire like 10 people to figure out things. We'll figure out a way around anything like that.
All right, well, I'm depressed. Are there any other questions for?
Well, you didn't mention the Maple Street property by the church,
Oh, right.
which is also a 99 unit building,
Right,
right? What's the
yeah.
current status of that?
So they started trying to demolish the building, and there's a stop work order on it, because they didn't do like asbestos remediation work, and so.
Okay, is there signage on it since the demolition's been stopped? I walked by there the other day and didn't see anything.
That's a good question. I'll have to look into it, yeah.
But otherwise, it's going ahead sort of as of right.
That's an as-of-right vote, right?
Yeah, yeah, I mean, I think those are the people that are, they're hoping to get some sort of contextual zoning for the area, nobody's opposed to like some housing, but, 12 stories is kind of crazy.
I have one last question. When you said we're always getting, override, is that basically by the Brooklyn Borough office?
It's by the city planning commission. As long as the city planning commission approves it, it becomes very likely that it goes ahead. I mean, it still goes to the city council, but, and then the city council actually has the final say whether they're going to veto it or not, but, most likely, if the planning commission has approved it, the city council is going to approve it with some modification.
Actually, even with the amendments that they just passed, didn't that take some of that out of there?
That took, yes,
Yeah,
that
some
took
of
some of that,
Yeah, didn't it
some of
establish
them down to their
the
sales.
appeals council?
Yeah.
Yeah, so even some of that power. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, we
I was just gonna say, like they're making a lot of like citywide sort of release valves that can get like a detour from having to take local feedback head on. Because if they get to look at it as negative, the mayor, the speaker, like those citywide offices can still come in and let them have an offer to get away from it.
Can I ask one question? You said it's going down to 9,000 square feet
of commercial.
in one building, I'm assuming?
I don't know the answer to that, Dante. I wasn't actually able to look at the building plans, because I don't have a Microsoft account, and that's small. Yeah. The other thing is, it's possible, I have to take a look at it, that they're still doing some type of commercial in the basement, because that isn't counted towards zoning floor area, so they might have not mentioned it, but I'm not sure.
What do you put down there, like a gym?
The original developer was gonna put the supermarket part down there.
Okay, that makes sense,
But,
yeah.
you know, now there's a new supermarket opening, like, maybe they have to rethink that. I mean, certainly the fact that the number of units went up tells me that they took it from somewhere, so.
Or to make it the unit smaller.
It's possible, yeah.
I mean, there's not even any 3 bedrooms, so how much smaller can they be?
Oh, watch that.
Or they could be a 3-bedroom, but it's just a very smaller 3-bedroom. Just because it's a 3-bedroom doesn't mean that it's sized. Yeah. The size of the bathroom over there. It's a bathroom, it's a room, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. There are no action items, okay. Who wants to go next?
I can go.
Okay.
I wasn't at my meeting, but I know what they discussed. I've read the meeting minutes, talked to them. Anyway, we're having a scavenger hunt in April. And the point is to get people to cross along the district and travel throughout the corridors and visit places that they've never been. And there will be a printed passport that they can pick up at multiple places that'll kind of like open up, and they get stamped, and there'll be a map, and there'll be participating businesses. And so we are starting our outreach February with some flyers and information that we're getting around to all of our businesses. And in our last happy hour, people were into it, so hoping that that carries through and that they're still interested. So and then we just need to get like some anchors throughout each avenue to have like a few anchor places that agree, and then build from there. So we'll be inviting people to our meetings. Hopefully some will come that will try to help us spread the word and get people involved, but that's the plan, and that's what we're working on basically every month. So, oh, and also I need a vice chair, which I did not realize until I couldn't make the meeting last week. And I was like, what am I gonna do? Lisa stepped in, but she also vice chairs another committee. So I only have one other option of someone I can ask, which I'm gonna ask them tomorrow, see what they say, hope for the best. I don't know, it's tough. I need more involvement out of my committee, and from everyone. There are like 4 people total, I would say, that do all of the work. There are some periphery people that don't really show up, and so that's hard, because then when you need a vice chair and there's not really like anybody to pick from, you know, it's limiting. So, anyway, the person who was on my committee who I wanted to apply to the board, I spoke to today. I was like, I can't, I have too many things going on, so. Anyway, so that's my challenge over on economic development. But besides that, we are working towards I think it's gonna be a really good event in April. So, more to be continued.
All right, thank you very much for the report. No action items for this one.
No action.
All right, just to address the one point, so, and this goes for all the chairs and all the committees. So if you have a vice chair, obviously work with your vice chair to do it. If you have a conflict and you are not able to go, let the district office know. Under the bylaws, I can appoint somebody to temporarily chair. So, I mean, first dibs would probably go to a member of the exec can come and help chair. I've pitched in and have chaired on occasion as well. So if you know you have a conflict and there's gonna be an issue, just let us know and we'll work with you to try and resolve that, so that we can make sure the meeting runs. You know, just let us know. It's like, you know, this is the agenda, this is what we're talking about, and we'll sit there and chair for you. All right. Okay, open up, questions for the Economic Development Chair. Okay, here we go. Thank you very much for your report. All right. As I've been throwing people on the hot seat all day, I'll take this one now. Public Safety Committee. So the Public Safety Committee, we met this month, and we considered, there were 4 items on our agenda, 4 applications. Per the training that we got from SLA, we know that license renewals, they are pretty much automatically approved by the state. The mechanism for the board to actually send the recommendation isn't having the effect we would like, because for the most part, unless there is something really, really drastically wrong that has been reported directly to them, they're going to approve them. So just in the interest of efficiency, so we're not actually considering them, we are going to be, continue to actually put them on the agenda, so that way, for the transparency and knowledge, everyone knows that these licenses are coming up for renewals, but we're not voting on those. So with that regard, we had 2 renewals that were happening, one for Balboa Restaurant on 1655 Bedford, and for Ish Restaurant on 43 Lincoln Road. So those 2 are coming, they came up for renewals. Those are going straight to the SLA, and the SLA will dispatch with those. Okay, so the 2 applications that we did consider this month are for Rinconcito Bites Corporation, located at 989 Nostrand Avenue. That was for a new wine, beer, and cider license and a temporary retail permit. The committee voted unanimously, we passed that one to go forward to be considered before the board. So that's one agenda item that we would like to have added. The second was for Zurli, located at 731 Flatbush Avenue, cross streets Parkside and Clarkson Avenues. This is for a new liquor, wine, beer, and cider license and temporary retail. It wasn't originally on our agenda. We added them. We did consider them, so we did approve them to go forward. There was one member who abstained, and there was a stipulation with regards to the time, in terms of, I think we stipulated an 11 p.m. Post for them for all business hours. So I believe the start time, I don't have the start hours with me, but it's for an 11 p.m. shut. 11 p.m.
Those will be coming to next week, right?
Yes, those will be coming forward.
One in Glasgow, not in Toronto.
Yes, and I'll discuss that a little bit as well.
Thank
So
you.
the reason why I came to, because of the nature of the business, they shut down their original application. They were saying like they only needed alcohol until like 8 or 9 o'clock. Just because of the nature of their business. They have another co-partnership with another business that's there. So they shut down early, so they were shutting down early as well. But in terms of future expansion, they were saying they may have a couple of occasions where they wanted to stay a little bit past that 8, 9 o'clock hour. So we had the conversation with them, and they arrived at the time for 11 p.m. in terms of realistically, that's probably the latest that they would go. Again, because of the nature of the business that they have. I believe there's a spa, so they're asking for,
A spa?
yeah, there's a spa that is co-located with them.
Thank you.
So that is the reason why.
It's on Flatbush, it's like painted blue
They got, they couldn't
color,
spa?
like,
The bathhouse?
Yeah.
Wow, that's kinda.
In Brooklyn bathhouse?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
yeah.
Wait, it's a bar in Brooklyn bathhouse, like for the
Yeah,
bathhouse?
I think they have
or
like
separate?
beer
Yes.
and
Yes.
wine.
Here's the bathhouse, they are like separate, they're actually 2 separate entities. So there's the spa piece of it, and they have another part of the business. But because they're co-located, that's the reason why that coordination is happening with that.
That makes sense.
So they kind of get some.
They wanna make sure for
Yeah, it sounds crazy, and we did talk about that a lot. But I mean, I think because of their business model, that's the reason why we came up
I
with
wasn't
that time.
Chinese, I need to come to Brooklyn.
Right. So that was the stipulation we had, and mainly we made the stipulation because they had a totally separate time. So we had the conversation in the meeting, so that was the time we agreed on with the applicant. So those are the 2, and again, that passed. So those are the 2 applications that were recommended to go forward.
I have a question.
Yes, I just got my question, and like in your report, you talked about one person abstained from voting because of an 11 o'clock closing.
She had the member had other issues with the application.
All right, okay.
Yeah, other questions about the application, so she chose to.
All right.
I have a question too about the earlier part of the report about.
You know, I swear to this
SLAs.
one.
Okay, all right. Well, so let me just do this. Let me take a speak. So who has questions? All right, I have you, Mr. Christensen. Who else has questions? Suki, I have you as well.
Yeah, you can put me down.
Actually,
We'll go around the table. Felice, I saw your hand as well. Any other questions? All right, so Kendall, I have you.
Eden.
Ethan, I have you. Felice, I have you. Suki, okay, that's all right. Are there any other questions? Okay, hearing none, we'll close on that. Go ahead, Ken.
The issue of service hours, closing hours, proximity to schools, all that sort of stuff keeps coming back around. I'm curious if there's any consistency among the various community districts for the answer to that. Has that been a discussion at the board meeting, or is everybody sort of on their own for figuring out what their own?
I think, yeah, people have
practices?
kind of left it on their own, and that's actually a topic, and that'll be part of, we're still finishing the framework. County-wide, Kings County, legally you can serve until 4 a.m. A non-starter for the district. And I think what you've seen is that each district, they kind of, this is based on the character of the district, where there's specific corridors where it makes sense to maybe stay a little bit later, where people can serve a little bit later. If there's residential connections, things of that nature. So that's part of what it is. We're trying to finalize and standardize around, what makes sense for the district, if it's a district-wide pattern, or it's like if there's certain corridors, maybe, have, some leeway with that. But that's something, but this is a conversation that we had, because they're on Flatbush, and because of the nature of the business, we came up with another. Okay, Suki.
So, my question was just about this whole issue of renewals. So the renewals tend to be where at some point we see a lot of them asking for later hours and changes in the type of licenses. So if we're only voting on the original license, maybe you see one thing, like you see an 11 o'clock closing time, you see wine, beer, and cider, and then 2 renewals later, they're on to full liquor and 2 a.m. And so, I'm a little concerned that if we're not voting on the renewals, maybe we're not getting the same thing that we originally voted on. The second thing is that the renewal, we typically like to give applicants the benefit of the doubt the first time around if they don't have a bad record from another business, which is, usually hard for us to dig up anyway, because they've been, around the district for a long time. But, we usually give them the benefit of the doubt. And then what we always say when people are skeptical is they say, well, if a problem arises, then they still have to come back for the renewal. So, that would be where we say, hey, we've had problems with, fights outside the bar, or we've had problems with whatever, right? And so, again, I'm kind of concerned that if we're not at least hearing renewals, right? I mean, we know that the SLA can still do whatever they want, but if we're not at least, having some conversation about it, that's, it cuts off our opportunity to say when the problems actually do arise.
No, absolutely. Thank you for both of those points.
But
So,
I understand, it takes up a lot of time and things like that, so.
well, let's go to the first point you made with regards to changes. Now, if there is a change in the method of operation, that has to come back to us. So we have, they don't just automatically. So if there was a matter of they were wine, beer, and cider, and they want to go to a full license, no, you got to go to the board for that.
And what about changes in hours and things like that?
So yeah, if
That
it's
should
something
go
that's
back.
other than what was stipulated with the original license, yes. If there's a change in your license or the way, method of operation, that comes back to us. And now with regards to that other piece that you're saying, so yes, we've always typically used that as that check in terms of, we'll see you again in 2 years. So it's like, right. Still kind of going along that, and that's kind of what we're working with the framework. Part of what SLA said is that they don't really hear complaints from the board. They're looking for the complaints that go directly to SLA.
Okay.
So part of what we would need to do is make sure that we are very heavy in the streets saying, if you have a problem with a business, let CB9 know, but go, this is the SLA site.
Yeah.
This is their link. Go there often as you need to make sure that they understand their complaints in terms of they're not being good neighbors.
When you say as often as you need to, I understand what you're saying. However, you also have to take in mind there are some unreasonable neighbors.
Right.
So that's there's a really big line there.
Right. I mean, and here's the thing. I think that we've discussed that,
I will also say the state liquor authority will call me
Yes.
and say, hey,
right.
Right.
what's up?
Exactly.
Alright.
And that's part of the thing. I mean,
But-
you know, we can't do anything unless they get it directly, so that's fine. And, you know, to the point that Dante said, we understand who the cranks are. It's like, if you got 10 of these from this address or from this person, you know, they disguise their voice. It's like, we know what that is.
Not even cranks. Like when I had the lounge, there was one particular person where the 71st precinct literally had to take my side and be like, "You're unreasonable. Like
Yeah.
they are not doing anything
Were they
against
above
your
you?
hours." Yep. Because they're new parents. I don't know what to tell you. You decide to be new parents above a business.
Yeah.
Good luck. God bless.
Love that.
Right.
So, no, I mean, absolutely, that's part of the conversation and part of what we're trying to consider as we're doing the framework as well. But part of that is, we don't have the voice that we thought we were gonna have, in terms of, we thought that, no, listen, by hearing the renewals, yeah, but no, they're not. So we're working that in there, where it's like, okay, to get legitimate complaints in front of SLA, we gotta get them there, that's fine. And, I mean, these will be things that we can fine tune as we go along. But the first thing is just understanding, it's like, it doesn't make sense to waste our time doing that. Let's figure out a way to make sure legitimate complaints get there, so that way we can still impact whatever conversations happen. Okay. I'm sorry, Ethan, go ahead.
My question was very similar to Suki's.
Yes,
Um,
mine's too.
It was mainly about, you know, deciding not to vote on those renewals, because I've always seen them as a good chance to sort of check in and see if the business is being a good steward of the license they have and what kind of neighbor they've been. I find those more important than the new ones, because with the new, like, we don't really have a record of them. With the renewals, you have a chance to check in and sort of judge them on how they've been operating. So I feel like that's a better chance to give feedback and hear their feedback and decide going forward. Given that the SLA has said what they've said, which I'm assuming means that they don't really take our feedback with as much weight as they do others, is there any way for us to sort of get people's complaints to them? I mean, do we submit the complaints from that?
Well, no,
from now?
that's the key. The complaints have to go directly to SLA.
Right.
So-
From who?
From whoever's
People.
complaining. From the people.
Like, when
Complainers.
people complain, we don't know unless they complain to us,
Right.
and or when Mia calls police and fire to find out if there's been any complaints.
Right. Is there any way for us to do that for residents?
No.
No, that's
So-
part of the issue.
So I'm not understanding that. Are they checking on the site to make sure that the complainer is a resident and is not on the board? Like, is there no way for an employee to say, let me put in this complaint on the website for you? Is there some?
Well, here's the thing. I think whoever the complainer is has to put it, like, you know, one of the things we would have said is, okay, well, listen, if you tell Dante in the office,
Right.
maybe we can put it in for you.
That's-
That's not gonna go. That can't go.
How so?
That's what he's saying.
No,
Yeah,
that's not.
we can't do it.
We can't do it.
Whoever the resident is who has the complaint has to register it directly with SLA.
It's not. We discovered.
And those complaints, we would do.
Yeah.
That's the kind of
Oh,
purpose.
exactly.
We would send complaints down with our letterhead, with complaints to SLA. And that's not carrying weight. What carries weight is for the consumer out here to literally just send a complaint directly to the SLA, to the community coordinator that you all pay, we all pay as taxpayers, to do their job to review those things. That's the weight. That's it. That's what they're saying. They're like,
Yes.
we have a person in our agency who we pay to do this, send the complaints there. That's it. That's essentially what they're saying.
But to that point, and one of the things we haven't given up on is, we keep them on the agenda. So the two items, we saw them, and we're looking at these, and we're trying to keep track of these as well. And we're trying to move to a point where it's like, all right, listen, how can we more effectively do this in terms of staying in touch with the community? So, I mean, I want the complaints to still come in here.
Right, we're gonna still do the same thing.
Exactly.
We are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And at the same time, so we're still gonna check those, and at the same time, when we have those conversations with the community, say, your next step is, thank you for telling us, now we know, now this is the link for SLA, make sure you do that. And let us know when you do that, so we can keep our files as well.
Okay. It just sounds like they're trying to make their effectiveness worse. Right. Yeah, because if you want,
Sorry, of city government.
it sounds like instead of having more centralized places to get these reams of feedback items from, you're now only gonna look
They have that.
for.
It's called
Yeah,
the complaint system.
here's the thing,
They have that.
and
That's
people
what
can
they were
correct me if
trying to
I'm
drive
wrong.
people to.
One of the things they said is, they have limited staff,
Right?
Yes, they
limited
do.
staff.
Yes, they do.
That's
And
correct.
So they have
they're
made-
gonna
Agency has
cover
They have
limited
made the administrative decision that, you know
Yes.
what, if it's a renewal, unless they're getting them directly, it's like, listen, just check
It's
off the renewals.
Right, that's what, that, it sounds like they don't wanna hear as many complaints, because anyone doing this kind of job, they know it's going to be harder to get individuals to submit these on the website than to get a group who knows how this goes to submit those on the website. So it sounds like they're trying to weasel away from the complaints because they know some people are gonna miss the mark and not do it.
I feel like it's
It's
much
the only difference
worse.
in results.
Because if they bring it all to me, I just send one. Whereas like, if we all in here are telling everyone to complain, now that's 13 people with 13 complaints rather than just one complaint coming from Dante.
But
That
they're not
was
gonna,
13.
they're not gonna do it unless we hover over them. That's
Well,
not gonna happen.
no,
That's not
I
how it
mean,
works.
here's the thing, I don't wanna necessarily be defeatist on that one, I mean, it means we have to change the way we operate as a board and the communication we have. But yeah, I don't wanna, you know, I'll tell you right now, I mean, just to share that one piece, I still have thoughts, really, really bad thoughts about everything that happened with the shooting that happened on Franklin Avenue.
Yeah.
Right,
Because they had problems for a while,
yes.
that somehow went around us and we didn't even know, I didn't even know that their license even had gotten renewed.
Right.
They had problems like a couple years ago before this shooting happened, and they got their license renewed. So there's still plenty of work for us to do.
Yeah.
And you know, and to your point, I don't think we should, you know, just say that's the way life is and do that. In the interim, I think we need to make sure that we're able to do that, but that doesn't mean we don't have conversations to say that can't be the way this is gonna happen. So that'll be something we'll have to engage the state legislator, so I'll have to talk to the assembly members, I'll have to talk to the senator, in terms of that can't be the way this happens. But in the interim, for us to operate, I don't want us to necessarily spin our wheels on something that we can't affect immediately.
Yeah, and I'm with you on that. I'm
But
just-
the other thing, even is that if you were there when they told us, right, you might have got a different thing. I mean, you're just listening to Dante and Fred and myself, cause we were there. But the way how they told us,
Yeah.
I really thought that, I was about to say, well, why are we even bringing to us to do this?
Yeah.
So we've been putting it quite legible and as good as we can, but it was
The
really,
SLA
it was really
articulate
important, it
Yeah,
was
they're
really
pretty
a
what they
tough thing for
actually
us.
do and not
Yes.
secondhand accounts.
Yes.
This is very important,
Yes.
right? So now, like, this is a stage in which the SLA is trying to teach people, this is how government works,
Mm-hmm.
right? You go into the website, you can't just point in your community and expect, just because people are in positions, expect X, right? You have to take some onus. The onus is they've created this complaint system. Go type the complaint, engage government. If you never do that, you're always gonna spin your wheels. We can create all the streamlining processes we want, but if people actually don't engage the city agencies or state agencies or federal agencies, it's gonna be all for naught.
Right, and I mean, this is what I thought of, like, I mean, I had more thoughts on this, but some of them got a little bit lost. But, like, I understand that, and that's what we aim for. But, like, at scale, it doesn't work that way. Like, if everyone here gets an email, we're
Right.
not gonna all read it right now. Some of us might never read that.
Right.
You know, like, just because that's how things go. People forget things.
Right.
And I mean, I work in an industry where, like, controlling those scale behaviors are something that we try to do, but there's never gonna be 100% or even like a 70% success rate. So just by the act of like shifting the system to go towards that, you're gonna lose a good chunk of the expected result, you know?
I don't think
Maybe
you
like-
are because there was no expectation before.
Okay.
People, this is why things get created.
Yeah.
So now
That's
people
fine.
can do those things.
Well, let me get back to the order. So Felice, I have you, you have a follow-up?
I, something else, just.
So my
Well,
question,
well,
let me
let's
ask this,
first.
because I was trying to thought here.
Go ahead.
So, for those that, came back for renewal, and you haven't heard anything, do you agree right away to accept, to renew their license, or there's still a process? Do you understand the question? For those restaurants, for those renewals that you haven't heard any issues with, do you renew or let them know right away that it has been renewed, or there is a process?
That's the thing. There's nothing for us to tell them because they're really not even listening to what we said. So even to compel them to say, come in here, doesn't make sense because SLA is not listening. They're not reading Dante's email.
Yeah.
So to that extent.
So they said that they
Yeah,
you don't
they
even need
were-
to do a renewal, they're just interested.
They really were that upfront with that.
It was interesting.
That's a comment, not a question.
Okay, well, hold on, let me get Mina, okay, let me see, Mina, and then we'll come back, I'll let you get your comment, and Suki, then we have to go, then we have to move forward.
Kendra was on the list.
Yeah, we,
It went first.
Right.
It went first. I
Okay.
forgot we all.
go ahead, Mina.
Just quickly,
Thank you.
if we, since we know that they want, SLA wants the public to go to them first, how are we gonna do this? Is there somewhere on our website where we'll have the link for
That
SLA?
makes sense.
Yes,
The same way that we have in the 311?
exactly.
And
Right.
just maybe just a quick process, if you see this, call this number, if you see that, like, and
Absolutely,
for that to go out in the blast, also something?
absolutely.
Is
That's
that
gonna have
what
to be a
we're-
mainstay of there.
Yeah, that's part of the framework that we've been working on for a while, I know, it's coming. But based on that, that's something that we were saying, we need to reconsider that, part of that process, because, you know, that's a process that we've done all these years, it doesn't make sense. So to make sure that at least that complaint process specifically for renewals, we have it step by step, what the expectations are, what actions we're going to do. So we're not telling people, don't complain, actually, we're saying,
Depends on where else.
you need to complain, you know, listen, very similar to what we tell people with 311 calls. If they call 311, great, but then let the board office know after that so we can chase that.
That works, I understand.
And this is something similar, we can try and chase it, especially, but those initial complaints have to go into SLA. That's where it's gonna make the biggest difference, with the initial complaint.
Have we thought about, I don't want to create more work for the chairs, but on our website, can we have links to things that our committee would work on? Like links to DCP, links to HPD, just to let people know this is who you contact? Or
There
is
are.
that a part of the
We do
city?
have some of those links on
Some of
right
those
now,
links,
we do have
okay.
some of them right now, so
Cause
there
Because
are,
whenever I Google CV9, it takes me to 311, and then I somehow have to go back and forth
That's a search engine
okay,
issue, that's a
So-
different thing.
there's nothing you can do about
I
the
mean,
search
no,
engine.
this, I mean, I think OCI might be the one to try to that.
Yeah.
That's SEO, that's an SEO issue.
So is there a time frame in which the renewal license takes place? Is there a time frame? Because I'm hearing all of these complaints and when it goes in and, so how long does that process take? That they have to wait now?
well, I'm gonna try and do this very, very quickly, in terms of the way the process works. They've got, the applicant has to go to SLA. There's a 30-day notice. They have to let us know, they have to send a notification to the municipality, that would be us, saying that if somebody's put in an application. What we've done is, for new applicants, we say, okay, well, listen, come talk to the board before you do anything, because we have to weigh in on this. And then after we have our board meeting, we vote. Once we voted, Dante sends a letter into SLA saying, yes, we have no objection, or we have an objection based on these grounds. Renewals are now a separate bucket because they're not even looking at that letter. But part of what we're looking to do is making sure that there is a process that is outlined in terms of, okay, well, listen, if it's a renewal license, we will have that, and I think it might be a good idea, we're working on that, but it's a good idea to put that on the website, saying these are the renewals, so that way, if you're a resident of the community and you have a problem with X restaurant, send it in now. So it's like, send that in. Now, in terms of when they actually approve the licenses, that takes a while, because even, there's such a backlog there, so it's like, it could be a number of months before they actually get it. So even when they apply for this, sometimes they have temporary licenses that they're working on before the full, the actual license gets approved. So there is a lag, so it's, but they're usually operating under temporary licenses. Or sometimes they're holding on until, sometimes the business is not even in operation because they're still trying to figure out this stuff. So, yeah. All right, I'm sorry, Kat, I think we said you, and Suki, and then we do have to move on. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I
Go
just
ahead.
wanted to say one thing that we started doing in my neighborhood association with 311 type complaints that, members bring to us is we'll discuss them, and then since the city wants you to put it into the system, we'll take 5 minutes and on our phones, we'll all put it in, if we've all agreed that this is a legitimate complaint, we'll all put it into the system, and that's a way of supporting each other and amplifying it and making sure that people actually do it. Because I think there is sort of a social purpose to discussing this. It's how we figure out what the community standard is and set the community standard. So, in our committees, we can do that if there's something that comes And speaking of, you know, what you were saying with the licenses and the processes, I have been seeing like a couple of notices going up on people's doors saying that they're applying for a liquor license, but they haven't come before us. Like, there's one, new burger place down Flatbush Avenue that had a notice, that new one that just opened.
Lou's Burgers or
Yeah,
whatever.
they had a liquor license application notice maybe a few months ago, and they haven't come before us, right? So, like, could it be that SLA hasn't yet put them in the queue or something?
They could just have started I'm not answering for them, they could have just started the process and not gotten to that step.
Okay.
Because not everybody has like an attorney to do it for them.
Okay.
So if they're doing it by themselves, they're literally
Okay.
trying to figure it out and do
Okay.
step by step.
And the reason I'm concerned about them is not because I have any thoughts that they're like a bad citizen or anything, but, you know, I feel like when Chipotle came for the liquor license, we were all kind of talking about it, and we all felt like, gosh, we definitely wouldn't want McDonald's to have a liquor license. But what do we do with a burger place? It's a fast food place, it's open late, their burgers are pretty inexpensive, like, as a lawyer, I'm thinking like, where do you draw the line in a way that's not discriminatory, but addresses what we all feel is, you know, an issue?
I mean, in cases like that, I would think you should know like the business conditions. Because for example, Chipotle going after that liquor license is largely a response to Shake Shack because they also have Monday Serve Line and stuff like that now. McDonald's might not be going after the same customer segment that Shake Shack and Chipotle would be going after. So in that case, it's more of a competitive move that McDonald's might not really be doing by default. If they make a change, they might still ask.
Right.
But like, understanding it is the difference between like having an unreasonable answer that they're confused about that we're not,
Right.
and knowing like where the person's coming from.
And, you know, and just to put the cap on this, I want us to be very cognizant of part of the takeaway from the SLA as well as this. There are a number of balancing things that SLA is looking at in terms of they're looking at the community response in terms of what the community wants, but they're also trying to promote alcohol sales. It is something that is part of what SLA does. So for us to say we don't want alcohol is not sufficient reason for them to deny a license, and they won't.
Yeah, right.
So it's really incumbent upon us to do the research, to say if there is a reason why we don't want it, it has to be more than, I just don't want them to have alcohol.
It's not a personal
And
thing.
Because
that's
that's
what I'm
not gonna
kind of
be
thinking
persuasive.
of, like, how do we frame, with this fast food thing, that it becomes sort of like a slippery slope, how do we frame that argument?
Well,
Chipotle
if it's
had
McDonald's
liquor
right next to
before.
Jackie Robinson,
That's part of the plan.
if it's McDonald's right next to Jackie Robinson, you can say, you know, there's a reasonable argument you can probably make.
Like
In terms
right
of,
under
listen,
your
they're right
son.
there, the kids are coming out of school, so do you want booze in place? That might be an argument that might be persuasive. But, you know, it can't be a knee-jerk reaction in the terms of the district saying, we just don't want the alcohol. It has to be something more substantial than that. You know, and that's the thing I want us to always be very clear about. It's a balancing act. It's a balancing act, so in terms of, okay, well, listen, they're a business, they need to be able to make some money, okay, fine. But what's reasonable in that sense? Okay, well, listen, fine, you can have alcohol, maybe you don't have a full bar behind you, and you know, you're not next to Happy Meals. You're not going until 4 a.m. just because you can and everything like that. Those are the conversations we want to have at the committee levels and with the board in terms of making sure there is a balancing act that happens for the whole neighborhood. You know, and we're not always going to be happy about it. And that's one thing we have to be very clear on. We're not always going to be happy, but we have to do the best we can to try and strike that balance. All right. Okay. All right. So thank you very much. So I have those two items.
I just wanted to call out one thing that you had said and something that Suki said earlier. It's just sitting in my head. SLA's not reading Dante's emails, and we're getting overridden by city commission when it comes to housing in this district. It poses the question, where is the actual like respect and backing of community boards?
We got to take our respect. We really do. And sometimes, let me say this. One of the things I want us to look at as a board, it's not a matter of we can't just say we voted on it and we move on. Sometimes it's a matter of we got to hold people to account. You know, that's why anytime we do these things, especially if it's zoning, I follow these things. So when it goes to Borough Hall, I follow it to Borough Hall. When it goes to city planning, I follow it to city planning. And if it's a matter of, you know, Dante, he sees all of our elected officials. And there are going to be times where it's like, okay, well, if we told you how we feel, what are you going to stand on? What are you going to stand on? And I think it's important to keep our elected officials as partners, but also to keep them accountable. And And that's one of those things we're working on as a board, trying to make sure that that partnership happens. We're not here rubber stamping anything. Nobody comes out here at 7 o'clock just for the, just for the fun, for funsies, as my daughter would say.
Keep you up to date.
Yeah. I'm up on the lingo. All right. Okay, let's move on. Who wants to go next? Who wants to share? Transportation.
A little break. Before I get into it though, one other comment about the whole like community board thing. Yeah, a lot of times that respect is kind of earned. Like, there's been a lot of like sort of knee-jerk reactions around the city to like citywide needs being sort of slowed down by stubborn boards in different parts of the city, and you're seeing that manifest in sort of like these release files where it's like, if this board doesn't want to build housing, well, we need to make a way that they can still build it regardless if the city as a whole needs it, which is why you're seeing these like appeals boards made up of citywide offices like the mayor, or even wider offices like borough president, mayor, council, so they can sort of get less localized opinions because they don't want people in general. It seems like they don't want these sort of opinionated responses that are just focused on what we in our area want, when that might conflict with what wider areas might want or need. But a lot of that just comes down to like how the board itself carries itself and the cases they make for the things that they're asking for. And that brings me to what went down to my meeting. We talked a lot about city bikes and where they should be placed.
Nice segue.
We took out.
Nice segue.
Yeah, we talked. The first one we tackled was the one on Sterling Street on North Street. Heard a lot of complaints about that. As soon as we got a chance, as soon as we got take care of the bike right there, we're trying to sort of make things a little bit better place. I took a video of the issue. And I mean,
What did you see?
huh?
What did you
I
see?
was just walking down to the pharmacy and like, yeah, you saw like a car on North Street that was stuck because they were trying to turn left to go out Sterling, but there's an ambulance there. I always keep counting these ambulances. There's an ambulance there. The whole road was blocked. The car was stuck. It was backing up the straight lane on North Street, and it was in the daytime, so the bus lanes were at ease. There were buses coming down, and like the whole street was backed up until probably before Empire. I believe you, but it's a common. It's a common.
I just.
But seeing that was another piece of it, and the rest of the committee they saw clearly what was going on, so we passed a motion to have that one relocated. Or there were a few options that we are looking at.
It's easy, just move it up the wall.
That was one of them. Some of the thoughts
I'm not
were
saying make it someone else's problem, but if it's just on the sidewalk in front of the park, it's not that far. It's 100 feet if even.
right. So, yeah, folks reached out to DOT, but that wasn't approved initially. But the DOT did sort of leave the door open for working with the community board to move that, so that's what we're doing. Ideally, placed at the park is fine, but we have like a sort of a cascade of options. One of them was to essentially remove a piece of the city bike station. Like some of them are in the city where they have like a trunk taken out, and you can walk through that. That would help first responders get to the building, and people can cross the street. And I mean, issue, but that wouldn't solve the parking issue. I mean, the passing issue, right? And the issue with that is because Sterling has really wide parking lanes painted, so people tend to double park like on the line instead of like closer to the car that's parked, and it doesn't leave enough space for cars to drive down. So, and the other reason is that at that city bike station they have some bollards, so you actually can't park any closer than the parking lane limit. So one of the asks is to remove that set of bollards, so that perhaps folks could just get the plastic barriers that discourage pushing parking there. We want to remove those so that people can park and leave space for other cars to pass.
But then when you have the bikers coming out to use their bike, when they're backing up,
Right.
a car can be passing and hit them. I don't want to
Right.
get anyone killed, but I
Right.
just at the same time don't think that, I mean, a few 100 feet, that's just 100 feet on the sidewalk and everyone's safe.
Yeah, so that was one option. The other one was to simply move that city bike station to the other side of Sterling where no one's trying to turn in because it's a one-way.
But that's the fire hydrant.
Even better. no one's parking there. But
But those things,
those things.
electricity and charging.
Yeah. So the other issue, but wait, I didn't mean that side, the northwestern side, like where the chicken spot is, because there are cars parked there now.
That spot there, I think, is, oh no, they removed it, no, not the bus stop, by the chickens.
Yeah, by Kansas. There's a lot of ponding there though, and that
Yeah,
would be an issue.
yeah.
It could be an issue.
No,
I
there is a lot of ponding there, and right now it's frozen over. And there are a lot of rats in that area. That.
See, we need several committees on that block.
Road
Several
control.
committees and environmental, I mean, the garbage on that block.
Yeah.
The garbage, part of, when you were speaking about the rainwater, I noticed the last time it rained really hard, it was all in the spots where the businesses as well as the community throws their garbage out. It's on the ground,
It's
and
kinda
that's
like-
where the water was pooling.
Yeah.
It's not and when they repave the streets, there's pooling there because they just don't pave it.
They need to regrade it so it's a different like slope, yeah, right?
It's
Yeah.
a hot
Yeah, we have
mess.
that problem.
Yeah. So I mean, the ideal solution would be putting it on the sidewalk down by the park, of course.
Down by the park and doesn't mess with anyone's home or business. That's it.
Yeah. It's fine. If they can do that, they should. So yeah, that was the first item.
Yeah, and why aren't city bikes in parks as opposed to outside of parks?
Exactly.
Like-
So weird.
I think it's
Park
because they're-
apparently objected to having bikes outside on their side of the sidewalk. That's
And,
what we heard.
yeah.
But that's
So
not
what?
like-
Why did they listen to them? They don't listen to anybody else.
But part of it is also
That's ridiculous.
part of it is
Because
also
the
because
donors
Yeah.
are a lot when it comes to Prospect Park. Have you ever been to the gala during the summer?
Well, that's why the city leverages what they give and say, well, this is why you change it.
Yeah.
That's the
I
leverage.
understand.
Yeah.
also they're intended as like a public transit method now too, which is why they're very close to train stations and stuff like that. I'm
Okay.
assuming they were aiming for that like instant transfer from the train station. You just walk 2 steps and get a bike.
And people do that, and I understand it, but 3 steps is the part. I'm not saying, I would love everyone to ride a bike, I'm a cyclist too, but it's not safe right where it is. It's just a safety issue for the bikers as well as for the community.
Yeah.
And I think that the poles, the white poles should stay there, because when you're turning that corner, you're gonna hit a cyclist without it.
Well, to that point, just because I want to make sure that we're moving along. Dante, if we could actually see if we can contact City Bike and bring them in for a conversation so we can figure out what options do we have. If there are specific issues, they should tell us, or if there are other opportunities, we should be able to discuss that. So if you could bring in City Bike, let's have that conversation.
When's the last time we had them in?
Do what?
When's the last time we had them in here?
Oh, they've been ducking us for years. Listen, when they did the initial rollout, it was great. They had workshops, tabletop exercises and everything. The first round was great. It went downhill after that. All of a sudden, they went into some black box, and you never know who did. DOT, even DOT, when we used to ask them, they used to say, "Well, that's City Bike," and "Well, who is that City Bike?" And they can never tell you anything.
Right. Well, City Bike, they got bought by Lyft.
Huh?
They got bought by Lyft. Could that coincide with the decline in response? Because
It was before that.
Oh.
It was even before that.
before that,
I think that what had started happening is the first round was easy because they were able to get the easy spots because they were trying to expand the footprint.
yeah.
That's when you started getting into places where, okay, the first round we wouldn't have said yes. And instead of getting the no's, they just put them there and just asked for forgiveness rather than permission.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I mean, I think it might be worth a voting item. Because if we expect them to duck us, I don't see why that's going to be a fruitful move. But we could,
Yeah, if we can
we
take.
could slim down some of the options so that we.
Well, I think this is an easy one, Dante. And, you know, I trust Dante's superpowers here. I mean, can you make that reach out and do that?
Yeah, I'll reach out to them.
All right,
Let's
cool.
just get City Bike in here and we can sit down. You can sit down with them along with Dante, and I'll try and sit down as well. I want to make sure that we fully understand what the challenge, what their plan is, because I think that's the big part. I don't think we even have an idea of what their strategy is anymore. They just put them there.
With you in that too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Dante, if you
Just
can
like
reach
the
out,
story.
just let us know, and if you're able to schedule some time, let's see if we can get that conversation going.
love to see all of you. Fun time.
I'm sorry, but I cut off your report.
So yeah, so it was okay. I'll let take your questions. Second thing was we also wanted to get we wanted to have the city bike station on Maple and New York Avenue potentially moved. That was mainly based on community feedback. And there's a wide sidewalk nearby that it can be relocated to, and New York Avenue gets a lot wider. Well, before it gets narrow, it has a very wide sidewalk that I think the city bikes could meet there instead, and still serve a lot of the same things. So that was going to be another quick voting item.
I think we can put the two of those. I think we put the two of those together.
Okay. Cool. Apart from that, we also had another request to DOT to investigate traffic calming options on Schenectady from Eastern Parkway to Empire Boulevard, because that area is a Vision Zero priority corridor, and it's next to at least two schools, if not more. PS 221, just on the road, and there's another one nearby. We've been notified that a lot of drivers are trying to beat that row of lights from Eastern Parkway to Empire, and a few things have been done to the street before. The lights are timed for a 25 mile per hour timing, but of course if they're turning amber on you, you can still go maybe 30, 35 and beat the rest of them and get back into the intersection. So a lot of people are doing that, and there's some worries around there about speed. So we're looking to see if they can get a red light or a speed camera somewhere in that section. Apparently there are more red light cameras available to us now than speed cameras, so red light might be a good one to use. And or some other type of physical speed reducer. Maybe some kind of a suppressor or something like that, but just some method to get drivers to slow down, especially when crossing streets.
How much of the corridor are we talking about from?
Just mostly toward Empire, so probably thinking like Montgomery, maybe Crown, maybe Empire.
So towards that. Okay, so south of it.
Well, it's south of Eastern Parkway, but slightly north of Empire when you're approaching Empire, because that's where the school is, but also it's where people try to speed to.
Okay,
Yeah. So that was a win we had as well, to get one of those options. So apart from that, we also had two other items on overnight commercial parking around Troy. We want to get some additional enforcement regarding a lot of trucks and commercial parking around Troy Avenue and the Rutland Avenue area. Those parking issues were causing some pretty serious ponding and other environmental issues, blocking storm drains and stuff like that, catch basins. So to get some additional enforcement for commercial parking violations around Troy and Rutland.
I believe there's some illegal dumping going on as well.
Yeah. And there are two more things. One of them was we wanted to address the sidewalk parking. There's a juice truck that parks on the sidewalk pretty often around Washington and Lincoln Road. And we wanted to just get some communications out to them to see if they could, stop doing that and find somewhere legal to do it.
It's a particular.
Yeah, it's a particular person or organization. I'm just want to talk to them, not necessarily get enforcement for that yet.
Okay.
See if they're just playing this. And lastly, there's another note to have our previous resolutions printed out here for the use of the committee members.
So they didn't want the previous resolutions.
No, they do want the previous resolutions printed out, like on the table for committee work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry about the earful, guys. It's a lot.
Okay. All right. Okay. Now here's the thing. So for a number of these things, I think these are recommendations that I think
Yeah.
are pretty straightforward. We can take care of.
Yeah.
I don't think it's, I don't think we require board votes, at least not at this point. The city bike piece, Dante, I think you should already take care of that. Traffic calming DOT, that's fine. Yeah, I think that's something that's good. And and here's the thing, I think that maybe we're at the point, we could, I'll offer you this, and maybe we should think about this as a board. We should have a regular meeting with DOT, because I think enough of these things come up. So as opposed to coming up and saying, listen, we want our audience, we want an audience, maybe on a monthly basis. Monthly basis, we can say, listen, we're trying to, these are the issues, these are the challenges, and what can we do on these things?
Would DOT do that? I mean,
It's an ask.
Yeah.
It's
well,
an
I
ask.
mean, I've had them come in and it was pretty good in some cases. Yeah, if they'll come up, great.
Let's figure out. I mean, but I think it's good for us to have a more regular conversation with them, because enough of these things come up, and I think it also gives them a sense of what the issues and the challenges and the concerns are in the community. So when they hear this overnight, if they hear this traffic calming on Schenectady, they can also inform us of what they have on the pipeline too. So
Yeah,
hopefully that kind of gives us that holistic conversation we want to have in the district.
yeah, because you can see what they've done to it before.
Right.
We don't know what they're working on now, but you
Yeah.
can see what they've done before.
Yeah, because and especially it's like I don't want to ask for if it's speed cameras, I don't want to ask for onesie twosie. Let's ask for it. Listen, in the district, we know that there are several points that
Yeah.
these are the points we've identified, and they may have information they can share back as well
Right.
in terms of that.
So I mean, that also kind of brings back the sort of angle of district-wide plans with these things. And I mean, they come up individually, and it'll take a while for a group to build out a district-wide assessment of everything.
Right.
But they come up one by one. So if we could compile it into a district-wide log and send that.
And that's
send
something.
that to
Even
all.
if it's a matter of just one issue, 2 issues, 3 issues, and all of a sudden develops into a plan, I think that's okay.
Yeah, that's what
I
we
think it'll help us kind of it'll be iterative.
Speaking of plan, one more thing. Discussed a lot about this about the Brooklyn bus redesign. We didn't make any notes on that or any voting items, but we did begin looking into that and looking into where it starts and where it doesn't. After the meeting, I did find the MTA's interactive redesign map. They have one. I'm not sure if anyone's seen it, but they have an interactive bus redesign map that allows you to compare old lines, the current ones, with the proposed redesign lines, including on a stop-by-stop basis. So you can look at any line you want to look at, you can see every stop on that route, and you can comment direct to the MTA about what does work and doesn't work in their proposed redesign. I'm thinking that's going to be a useful channel to use, just like how SLA likes individual responses. That might also be something that the MTA is going for. I'm sure it's a feature that's in there for a reason. But we're going to be using that going forward to help with our assessment of the redesign, including where it works well and where it doesn't. Earlier we're already hearing that the B48 is going to be losing the stop on Sullivan and Washington, and there's some concerns to bring that one back. After I looked into it, that's the second longest gap between stops in the whole B48 line. The biggest gap is going to be around the Brooklyn Navy Yard. And it looks like they're just trying to eliminate stops that are right after turns, because it seems having a bus wait on a light and then turn and stop again might be a thing they're trying to cut down on. But if people here find that stop to be a pretty vital one, it wouldn't make sense to lose it, especially if it's the second longest gap on that route.
The crazy thing with that, I want to say that we've already had this conversation about that stop.
Yes.
We've already talked about that one, where it's like, and it keeps coming back up, or keeps sneaking back on these redesign maps. Actually, I'm kind of a little bit perturbed, because that's like, I know that we had started conversations on the bus redesign. The conversation died down, and somehow I think MTA wanted it to die down because they didn't want too many people looking at how many stops are taken up. So this is something good that I'm glad you brought it up, that you and your committee are looking into this, and we should bring it up. And I think we need to just say, listen, if you want to cut stops, fine, not at CB9.
Right.
You can figure out wherever else you want to do it. People will advocate for it.
And that's a point that's going to come up in the future. Because if we look at, if we talk to folks who don't live in this district, right, people who might live in 17, even if we look at the removed Sullivan and Washington Street stop, there are a vast majority of a ton of places in different districts. People have to walk more than anybody would have had to walk between those two stops in the current system with all the stuff we have now. Like if you live on 54th and 53rd Street east of Utica, you're walking much more to your nearest bus than anybody would be in the biggest gaps of this redesign here. So are we spoiled? Not sure. Certain things work better for us here than other, of course. And I'm trying to sort of get a set of requirements instead of saying a sort of a wish list type of ask where it's like we want these 5 stops back. I'd like to sort of make a plan framework that says, you know, in this district we do not want any gaps between stops more than a quarter of a mile, right? That way it'll auto apply and we can easily look for those gaps and see, hey, this stop is, you know, breaks that, and it helps us build up the requirement and the list of what stops should be kept versus lost. It helps us work with them because now they could sort of work with us in the context of their own redesign requirements because they have their own. Like they remove stops because they want to, you know, they want stops to not be a certain distance too close. So if we say, okay, well, if your lower limit for your stop distance is, you know, 400 feet, ours is, you know, 800. So if you're in that zone, you're fine. And I think that might help a lot with how we approach this and how they work with what we're saying.
Well, you know, let me reverse myself. A little bit of knee jerk on me. It's like, no, don't take any stops out. The 48 bus, and this is a conversation. This is the reason why we want to get that feedback. At that point, we're almost near the end of the line anyway. So I'm not sure how many people are taking the 48 or where you're taking the 48 bus to. So maybe that's a conversation. I'm okay with that. But I'll go back to my original point where it's I'm a little bit, you know, a little bit leery in the sense that this conversation has died down. So to your point where if your committee wasn't looking at this, this really would have just disappeared and very little fanfare and nobody would have said anything.
I said something about it because it came to my attention.
Right.
There's 101 pages on these changes. And the first thing is that the 48 bus was removed and it took 4,000 signatures to get the 48 bus back. Now, if they want to skip stops, then they need to put a limited bus on there, a limited bus line. Leave it the way it is. Okay.
Now, the only thing I would ask is, the only question I have, just in terms of, you know, the conversation. The stops on Washington Avenue past Eastern Parkway, how many of them are there and are they all necessary? As the terminal is within 3 or 4 stops after that.
You want me to find that out? Because you see, for us to get 4,000, only one was 1,500. We got 4,000 to say that we need that line because it connects to
Well,
other
no,
bus
I'm not saying about
lines.
the line. I'm saying is about the stops.
Yes, the stops, especially that particular one, because that one, you have Evansfield, you have a lot of seniors there. It comes right there at that point. And yes, the extension line going further up is on. It's like 2
Yes.
blocks.
And that's close to Eastern Park Bay, right?
Yes.
No,
that's
you know,
going
and I'm fine with that answer. I'm just asking the questions because I want to make sure we have those answers and we have that feedback coming back from residents as to why that's critical, and that's fine. All right, okay, I'm sorry, but so let me ask this. Are you finished with your report? Have you?
That is, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay. All right, so just in terms of how the handling the business, so I think that it's important that we look to the point where DOT, I think we should reach out to them to see if we can get this to have some of these conversations. It'll be iterative. I think that, you know, once we have this first one, we can at least give these initial questions and we can build on some of that one. And I think that'll build towards something that's more comprehensive for the district in terms of that. The overnight commercial parking, that's an enforcement issue. Dante, can we get the 71st on that one? Okay, so that one I think we can get the 71st. That should be something that should be a priority for them. They can take care of that. Sidewalk parking, I think, is something similar. That might be a conversation with the 71st in terms of, listen, that's, you gotta be a good neighbor. You can't do that. Previous resolutions, Dante, I got you again. Yeah, so I think those copies of the resolutions we can make available. And as a matter of fact, they are actually available on the website too, right?
There you go, yeah, and that's kind of the point. They're available on the website.
Yeah.
But every person who walks into this space, I guarantee you they're gonna say that they love trees. And then they're gonna say, oh, print out everything, not read it, and not take it home.
And then come back.
Okay, so the point of the matter of asking for this was this, is that we have a lot of resolutions being made, but we don't know what was resolved. So here we are, a year later, oh, did we touch on that? Do you remember this? No, we don't. So we're trying to keep up with all of these resolutions that we put out there, so we know what was resolved. That's why we asked for it.
Yeah,
Understood.
but we print them all the time, you ain't got your keep them.
I mean,
Because
to
we
be
go in-
completely
we go in
honest with you,
circles, you know what
if
I
you
mean?
kept all your general board packets, which are for you all, you would have all the minutes forever. So that's that. Two, prior to the meetings, because we know when all the meetings are, you can go online and look at all the committee minutes from all the meetings previous that we have received that we put up on the website.
That's fine. I asked for the period of time when,
Just since I got here.
Ethan started.
I'll print
So
them.
you have newcomers that are coming in, and they said, well, what was the resolution? You
Mhm.
know? So
Yeah.
that too would help them, and
We all-
it would be kind of fair.
Well, to this point, I also like the idea of saving the trees, because that's the reason why we have these things available. Whereas part of the meeting materials, can you send out the links to, these resolutions in the past, they're here, so if anybody
Okay.
needs to.
That would be very helpful.
So at least there's a link to say, listen, if you wanna get past
All
resolutions.
people
they're here.
share the information
Yeah.
with them, why should we print them?
I also like to use the TV, and so I'm more than happy to, call up our little section of the site regularly for every meeting and have that as background, provided that we can get the technology to work so that people who are watching it on YouTube can actually see what's on the
I
screen.
saw, yes, I saw
That's
when you did that.
really been an issue that, we're not able to generally put the iPad.
That's a
close
great
enough
idea,
that-
and I saw I was here for that when you were trying to do
So, I mean, I think in general, this goes back to the office's request for higher quality space that has better AV and, so whatever we could do to advocate with the city for that to happen.
Yeah, I mean, if you have my take on it, we use the TV often to look at maps and explore and sort of build solutions to things and see what's going on when we're talking about it. And now that we have the bus redesign on map, we are going to be using that more often with the TV. I use it wirelessly. I've been in it for a bit, so I do that. My thing is, I mean, everyone needs to work together to make sure that we all are up to date, right? We have a tracker that I built in Google Docs that shows the issues that were brought up, when they were last addressed, where they're stuck at, right? For example, Washington Avenue, that might be stuck with DOT contacts. That's been done, and now we might need to, get them in the room and
I would love that.
get some more progress there. So a lot of the sticking points are not resolutions. It's more getting them acted on by other people, and printing them out is not going to do it. But people need to stay on top of it and be proactive and say, hey, how can I help with this? And I mean, of course, I often try to make sure everyone knows that. But if people are forgetting, it is on the website, and if something isn't resolved, it usually isn't anyone's fault in the room. It's usually just how do we get the ball rolling in other people's offices where they're not only thinking about this.
I think it's a good idea to keep them Google Docs.
So moving forward, what would you say is the process that we're gonna do here? Because there's a lot of resolutions that's out there, and I don't even see what was done. I'm sorry, I just don't.
Right, and I think that's the key. In terms of the resolutions, that we can send out the links as part of the packet. The actual track, and I think that was a good point that Ethan said, in terms of what's been done, so in other words, we voted on this, what's the status? That's probably more in terms of the committee leadership, in terms of saying, the tracker is a very good thing, where it's we voted on this is where we are. We have a meeting scheduled, we did this, we did that, or whatever's happening, or the district office is taking care of something. But at least being able to give people an idea of what the progress is on.
The feedback on it,
Yeah,
yes.
what happened, what's.
Yes,
I can
that's
make
all,
I can make a
that's
public
it.
one on Notion where everyone can see it, and I can color code the different zones so people see, the red ones are stuck, or so people just have an idea what they're looking at.
Colors are good.
I can do that too. But yeah, I think it's just homework and going and not leaving the work in here,
Yeah.
because sometimes people might go home and forget about this, and when they come back, they're like, oh yes, this again, and they get back into it. Okay.
I feel like you guys, some committee does this. Could you just when you're printing the new resolution, have the old resolution with it, just to make it easier for everybody?
You haven't passed any twice. You haven't overdone, you haven't done a new or old. It's usually what happens is we have an old one passed 2 years ago, and that sort of fell through the cracks, and we haven't heard back from the agency on it. Or maybe we did, the agency hasn't actually done anything yet, like in the ground, and people are remembering that, and they're saying, wait, what actually is going on with this? And it's a little nebulous because it's not necessarily anything any one of us is up to. Like we can't fire somebody at DOT and say you didn't put the lines on Washington, they need a crosswalk, so go home. We can't do that, right? So it's not that cut and dry. It's a bit
Right.
more like how do we, wield whatever
Right,
advisory power we have to get people to understand that this actually does need to get built.
right, and as you said that, you're absolutely right. So last year, we said we was gonna do the crosswalk or DOT or whatever, we said we was gonna approach it. Here we are in the new year, like 6 months or a year or two later, and, and that's the point of having
Right.
that resolution, to see, what was done, what wasn't done, how long has it taken? Oh, this was resolved. Okay, so let's move that aside, let's focus on this.
Right.
That's it.
That's a little bit more of a difficult thing because in these spaces we're using soft power here. This is not a place where you can tell someone to do a thing and that's all that's required to get it done. It's a place where you can make your resolution and whatnot, but sometimes you have to pull levers that are not right in front of you. We might need to get some press on that Washington Avenue issue because it's crazy that there's no crosswalk there, even though the Botanic Garden's right there. And people are getting hit. That's wild. Like there are many things that need to get done, and it's not straightforward to just do the next obvious step and do it. And we're working on that, and we're gonna continue. But yeah, there's different ways to do it.
And not to apologize for DOT, but the one thing I will say is their stuff tends to be long. They don't have things where it's like they just go down to these paint stripes. There's engineering reports, there's different things they have to do, and there's different levels, so these things don't always move as quickly as they need to, or as they should, or that we would think they do. But it's important to the point that it's been made, I think a couple times at this point. We should be keeping track of that, and we should be able to hold people accountable. It's like, okay, well listen, last year we voted on this, we had a conversation with DOT, what is the status of this? I understand some things, especially when it comes to construction, sometimes it's seasonal, so it's like, guess what, they're not doing it over the winter, so you're not gonna see it.
2 people died.
Understood.
2 people died.
Well, no, I mean, I'm saying is there are some aspects that, some aspects, but some of them.
That's why I'm totally perplexed about this whole thing and what's important, what's not important, where the money should go, where it shouldn't go. We had 2 people that died and people are getting hit. It was an accident recently and that was on Sunday. What does it take? What does it take?
It happened in Queens, like
Come
Queens
on.
Boulevard was called the Boulevard of Death for the longest time, and it's forever to change.
All right. Well, listen, I want to make sure, so there's definitely, I think Ethan has already said that he's going to take care of that, and I think this is a good practice for all the committees. If you have things that are, things that we voted on or you decided on or projects you're working on, to be able to come back with, part of the meeting should probably be dedicated to say, this is the movement that's happened. Or if it hasn't happened, why hasn't it happened, and at least be able to see what our next is.
Committee meetings are not that. Don't come to the board meeting, make people
All
wanna
right,
go home.
and that last piece with the bus design,
That's ongoing. No
Okay.
voting item, that's just.
Oh, yeah.
okay, but I also, if we can find out, when does MTA expect to actually finish this project, because
I've been hearing like a year or two from now.
I've asked 1,000 times.
Yeah, but
I've asked 1,000 times.
yes. Even
I didn't
if
answer
you
it,
read, you don't see me.
Yeah, it sounds like they have all the resources on Queens and like maybe like one person in a room monitoring a computer about Brooklyn.
Yeah, how can this be going faster than Brooklyn?
yeah, the reason why I want to make sure we stay on top of that is because, again, like I said, I think that I understand Queens, and I think a lot of these processes have been delayed.
Jamaica have no running floor now. We can't get
But the thing is
Flatbush
this,
to go.
they're gonna say no Brooklyn, not yet, not yet, not yet, and then all of a sudden you're gonna see all the stops are gonna be, oh yeah, we made a
Yes,
decision
yes.
on Brooklyn, and you never
Yeah, it's
knew.
done.
Yeah, it's done, yeah.
We didn't notice.
So we wanna make sure we keep it tabs on that. All right, so we'll just leave that.
That's gonna be a recurring item.
Comment about that. So there's a group that's working on the Brooklyn and Queens bus network redesign plans. It's headed by a former MTA bus planner, Alan Rosen. And so they've been kind of like advocating for passengers who are concerned about missing stops, like bus service that's not serving their needs. So that might be something that you might wanna hook up with them, you might wanna talk to them about what their advocacy is.
Can you send whatever
Yeah,
information you have
sure.
about that? Yeah, because that might be a good resource to check.
I don't know, there are a lot of things on everything that got to do with Queens.
There are a lot of groups right now
Somebody
jockeying
can pass me his number. Or you could ask police.
Riders Alliance is out here. right? There's a lot of groups trying to jockey for that, you know, for the redesign. Riders Alliance is trying to do Flatbush. We're trying to get buses up and down Flatbush right now. There's a lot more going on. But yeah.
And that's another conversation we need to keep tabs on too. Because even when it's not in the district, it still affects us downstream.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, if they do decide to be audacious, they might, like Box is saying, they might do like Livingston to Grand Army, and then do maybe like Avenue H, or like right after it bends down the Kings Plaza, and they might avoid the bottleneck here because it gets narrower in our section.
Well, they can just take out all the parking spots.
That would be, I think, the next plan.
That'd be really great for the businesses. That'd be really great. We would
But
love
we're
that.
middle of the road, you know?
Yeah, totally. That'll make
And
people
no,
stop
that's
and
was being
shop.
facetious, yes?
Yeah, it was.
Very strong sarcasm right there.
I was like,
Dripping.
right? I was like,
You're on the street and suddenly you stuck up in the middle of the road and you can't run across.
Yeah, they put
Okay.
in two blocks of the bus lane in downtown Brooklyn already.
Yeah.
And it's so clear,
It's okay.
it's like, it's okay until you get there, and then you're going at like 1 mile an hour on those 2 blocks, and then it's better, like it clears out right after that.
Because it's so weird because it's now you're just driving and then you suddenly have to change lanes because it comes out literally of nowhere. It's like it just spawns and then you have to get out and
But I
everyone's
think they're trying to see what the effect of it will be.
It's worse in my country.
yeah. I think that is
Okay. Okay, good, all right. Okay, let's move, because I know that, you know, we've had some really good conversations, but I want to
Mine
make sure
is
that
over
we're.
the longest. I'm done, so we're good.
Okay.
We'll be fine.
All right, so I think we've kind of identified, so Dante, we have a couple of things that we want to take care of offline. Let's see. Vida, you got housing?
Yes.
Okay.
Housing Committee met on January 12th. We actually had a presentation from DCP. Yes, it was the Housing Committee, but we went down the urban route because a lot of it is connected. And they're going to actually come, DCP is gonna come next month to our meeting and do a housing specific presentation. So this was more of a 101 for, I won't say, but for our committee, even though only 2 of us showed up. Thank you, you're yes.
I'm coming to the next one.
You know, so we appreciated the presentation because at least for me, it helped me understand like what's next for housing. Because I was clueless. And they basically said that, you know, they're not a decision-making agency. And so when we point fingers, they're saying basically it's not them, but when they come back next month, they're going to explain that part more with the housing. But really appreciated all the information that they gave us. Like I said, we didn't have quorum, so we didn't get to everything that I wanted to speak to the committee about. One of the things I wanted to speak to them about was back to Irla, the presentation that they had on the 15th. I caught most of it from Borough Hall and the WebEx. It was interesting.
It was interesting.
It was interesting.
Could you get a copy of it? It was on a plane.
Yeah, I
We
think
should
they
have a
wanted
link.
to send us, or
Okay.
There should be
they
a
said
link.
have sent, they sent it, okay, so it's in my email somewhere.
Alright, so.
But there are actually a lot of things coming up with housing that, I guess my question is, how do the other committees get in touch with each other? Do you all have
Email.
emails? Okay,
We have like a group email that we,
because I'm going to reach out to the board for that, because I haven't gotten into contact with a lot of members of my committee. And I'm going to say that, no, there is going to be another presentation, but this one's gonna be in March. One of the gifts from Joey, was that she had set up a presentation when she was, the chair. And we're looking to come in February, but since we're having DCP come again, they're going to come in, March. March.
Who is this?
You know, people.
Okay.
The people whose names are in the email,
Oh, yeah.
in the text message, the people, the blame, let me see,
Yeah.
as soon as I close the emails, I will, new economy project.
New economy?
New economy project, March meeting. Chris, they want me to present. I just don't want too many presentations on Monday. Just seeing how things went this month, with the good old 2 hours. I don't want 2 presentations. Okay.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for that. Do any members have questions for the housing chair?
Yeah, I have a question. So, my committee had asked GCP to present on some zoning stuff. And I think it would have to be February because, Adam's gonna do March for us, right? And so I'm feeling that might be a longer,
Do you think Adam's?
I don't know how long this presentation is gonna be. I mean, I don't usually like people to present for longer than 15 minutes so that we can do Q&A afterwards. But, just cause people's attention kind of flags. But like I'm also trying to figure out how to juggle this, so I don't know who would be coming from TCP to present to you guys. You know, it might be different divisions, so it might be fine. But I'm just wondering, you know,
It's
how we should handle
For,
this.
DCP is gonna be the same,
Was it Jordan?
Jordan, yeah.
I mean, I'm almost wondering if we should move Adam up to February and then have a joint meeting with DCP in March, that might.
Did they already, agree?
They haven't agreed to anything. I just literally like reached out to him today.
I guess before we make up our agendas.
Yeah,
He's
we
pretty
can-
quick at responding.
Yeah, we could discuss afterwards.
And I would
It's gonna
offer, and I would offer this as well, because I know that sometimes, you know, I think we have like 4 meetings or something like that before the end of the year. If you have, especially if you have a topic coming from somebody who's, you know, really in there and it's a deep topic, you could also consider saying, listen, maybe we do a Zoom or we can do a WebEx where they can just present. And it's a separate time from a committee meeting, but it's an opportunity for your committee and for the board, I mean, to hear some of this stuff as well. So that's an option for you to consider. If that works.
And that might be helpful too, because, you know, after Adam presents, then that might raise like more questions for you guys from what you wanna know from TCP.
Yeah, as soon as I speak to the committee.
All right.
One last one.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's-
go ahead.
I have a question in terms of housing. The question I have is in terms of rent stabilized apartments. Do we have an idea as to the number of rent stabilized or rent control apartment within Community Board 9? If not, can we get the city to come and talk about it?
Is that
Because a lot of people are seeing the neighborhood changing. And some of people say it's gonna take a long time because we have so many rent stabilized apartments. I think we, as a community board, should be really on top of that. On top of rent stabilized apartments, because that affects more than not just housing in terms of affect Europe. Because these are some of the information the developers are using in deciding where they're gonna build, what building they're gonna hold apartments about, but I think we should be on top of that.
Yes, Nicholas does have a point. Cause right now they're doing apartments, what do you call it, differential rent or something of this nature? Is that the name of it? Where they can just next year jack up the price
Oh,
up?
the preferential
Oh,
rents.
preferential.
Yeah,
Yes.
because the thing is, even though, like, our state rep sponsored the bill, in 2019 to do away with the vacancy increases and the preferential rents, but it's still kind of there in a way that when the person who was there before leaves, now they can raise it, if they had a preferential rent, now they can raise it to the legal maximum. And so that could be an issue why rents are still going up.
Is that part of something that
I think Adam will have, yeah.
will have?
I do.
Adam is, Dante worked really hard and got us a fellow, and he's been doing a lot of research. I only met with Dante and Sugei once with him, but from what it looks like, he may have answers to that question, Nicholas. Thank you, Dante, thank you, Suki.
Maybe I'll also ask Esteban if he can talk to you guys, because he's so knowledgeable about all this stuff. He's one of our committee members, actually, but he's, one of the heads of the Crown Heights Tenants Union and Tenants PAC, and so they deal with this stuff like all the time.
Yeah, that's a good resource.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right, thank you very much, and if there's anything you need from us, just let us know in terms of supporting. And again, like I said, just logistically, if it helps you to move some stuff out and make it a bigger conversation, because I think there's a lot of good information that's gonna come out of that might be a good board audience, so it's like, to make it bigger.
Absolutely. Adam, I don't remember, were we looking to do a board presentation?
At some point,
Well,
he's gonna do
at some
theirs.
point.
Yeah, perhaps,
Just to do it before he leaves.
or even if there's some kind of, some
Yeah.
presentations that you're gonna have specifically for your committee. I think like especially that 101 is great for your committee to do it, but I think it's great for the board to see some of that stuff as well. And even to that extent, where it's like if it was videoed, then maybe it's a good idea for us to send it back out to the board.
I
to listen
asked
to.
Jordan for a copy of the
Yeah,
presentation.
this is the link, go back to it, board members can look at that at their leisure, just to kind of catch up, so that way we're all getting educated on the conversations.
Is there a written scope of work for what he's doing?
For the fellow?
Yeah, I have. I can send it to you.
All right, Ms.
Up to
Hall?
me, yes.
Yep.
All right, thank you. My report is, we had a meeting, we had a quorum. We brought in 2 new community resident member. One of them is gonna be an art liaison to interface with the museum that in the city, the galleries and all the stuff. And we also brought in a sports liaison. Our sport liaison is thinking of putting a lot of activities together, including organize sports activity between different community board for the whole Brooklyn. Between basketball and soccer.
Boom. So the youth committee has something going on with soccer. I'm
Right.
listening. Go ahead.
Yes, we interfere with the youth committee, and we had Ainsley Bender
Okay.
come into our community to present about the soccer fest. Since we know this is a good World Cup year, so hopefully they're gonna use the old Boys and Girls High School field for a day mostly for young kids. So this is in the process. They have to come back and give us more detail on what's going on that. So what
I'm
we
working
have,
with her to get the permit
right?
for that.
Yes?
Yeah.
We gotta go and get the permit
Yeah, I'm
because
working with her.
that field is owned by one of the school, some Eagle Academy. So it's like any other school, you gotta apply for a permit to get all the stuff. They're asking us to see if we could go and get the permit from the community to do that. So the next thing I wanna talk about is the presentation I made at Borough Hall for the March 28th Brooklyn Parks and Open Spaces Conference. And flyers had been made. The main sponsor organizes the Prospect Park Alliance. So they pick up that idea, runs with it. The agenda has already been made. And I presented what we're gonna do at the Borough Board, where most of the community board district manager and were there. It was well presented. It was well accepted. I put together 5-document packet which has been mailed to every community board that tell them with date, time, which I already, I think, then they send it for me to all of them. So, we are, every community board's gonna have 2 minutes to do 3 or 4, 5 slide presentation to present what parks exist in there, what constraints they have, what wishes they have, and anything they don't, all right? So this is gonna be a whole day, for people who don't know yet, a whole day from 8:30 to about 5 o'clock, where we have about 5 or 6 different panels. In those panels, we have a couple people from community garden, from CB9 that will be presenting what their stuff is going to be. We have to work on our own, where we want to highlight primarily the struggle we have with the Union Street Community Garden. For 20 years that we do that, and a few other issues we think are present. I meet with this organization committee, meets every 2 weeks on Monday to plan. And then we have committee board 16 also, which is a co-organizer, which is also part of the panel. It'll start from 8:30, like I said, to 5 o'clock, and it will end up with an happy hour after 5 o'clock, either at the Brooklyn Botanical Garden, or possibly, that hasn't been announced, but this is talking, or Brooklyn Bridge Park. So there is a flyer with a QR code and a link. Everybody can go there and register. And I think from today, from this week on, we could have it on the blast for now, so people can go and so we get an idea. So PPS covering the breakfast and the lunch. So, because I even approached the borough president for the lunch, but he says there's a whole process, but they're covering that, all that. And if it go to the flyer, register. So, one more thing, after 2:30, there's gonna be hands-on. People gonna go to the park where the park workers gonna do a lot of demonstration in different part of the park. So this is, like I said, this is something I've been working on for the last 3 years, but it's now definitely a reality.
I have a question.
And, do you have a question, or you want
No,
to
I'd like to finish, yes, please.
Okay. What we want to talk about, I'm meeting with my vice chair. We're going to try to put a calendar together. One of the things that came out of the meeting, we would like to have between spring and summer performances in all the parks and the playgrounds and the community garden. Be it poetry slam, be it music, but if it's a playground, you could bring things for the kids and stuff like that. We're gonna plan that and submit a list of dates and possible budget for that. So, the last thing I wanna talk about, no, not the last thing I wanna talk about. The Brick Arts Media will, February 24th, they like to do a presentation about what they're all about at the general board meeting. So I'm just announcing that for now. They wanted March or February, but this is February 24th meeting. So there should be the people presenting about what they're about, what they do. They did the presentation to us last year. So there will be there, so that it is good for them. And we would like, the interfaith luncheon, we gotta work more on that. It may not be this year, maybe next year. And we will probably like to get together with Health and Social Service Committee to work out for health fair. So, and that's the extent of my report. So, questions?
Well, hold on, just real quick. So, do you have any action items that we need to vote on?
Yes, oh yes, I'm glad you did that. There's a resolution that has to be adopted. So the committee will vote on the resolution at the February meeting, because there's a deadline to do it by March. And if it's ready, we should bring it up to the general board meeting. We're already in February.
In February.
For
Okay,
the
February.
whole board to adopt. That's the action item.
But not for this month.
Not for this month.
Okay. All right, quick question. For the borough board, when you presented it, did they vote on it, or?
No, it was just like informational.
Okay, was there anything they need to vote on or?
Well, each committee, I think each community board received a sample of that resolution.
Okay.
I mean, the way it happened, they said if we were gonna do it, they were gonna be the organizer if we were gonna do that or. So Carolina Church says because I put their logo into the presentation, they decided to take it out. They said they just wanna support it and sponsor it. I don't think they're gonna bring it up for.
So it's not vote for the program?
I don't think they will be bringing it up.
Okay.
So hopefully after this first one, because the idea is to have this at least every 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, I would have loved for the borough board to vote on it, because then you have the chairs saying that we're gonna bring it back to our community board.
Well, maybe we could, by the next board meeting, we could put it as a motion.
Well, I mean, I can talk to Carolina about that.
Right,
Something like that
okay.
in February.
And because one of the things I'm suggesting, because we're finishing the agenda, the closing remarks will be done by Caroline Church or any representative. If the board president cannot make it, for concluding this particular event.
Okay, all right. All right, thank you for that. Questions, please, go ahead.
So, the park on Eastern Parkway, Friends of, Mount Prospect Park?
Yeah,
Friends-
that's in community body.
Oh, okay, cause I was wondering if you were including them, since you said you were including all of the boards.
Oh, no, actually,
Prospect, they're not, they're,
'Cause
yes,
I
they
thought-
are.
Mount Prospect.
Yes. It's on, it's between,
It's technically not located in any board.
It's not in any board.
It's not on any board.
It's not in any.
it's not?
No.
No.
You know, it's-
Oh, let's get that clear, because I keep thinking of community board.
No, no, no.
Because-
Here's the thing, Community Board 8 is north of Eastern Parkway.
Right.
We are south, but now the
Right.
crazy thing that happens is our border goes down Washington.
Right, that's.
So
amazing.
technically, well, here's the thing, we are east of
side.
Washington, the east side of Washington.
Right,
So basically, Brook Botanic Garden is not ours,
right.
the library is not
That was
ours,
correct, that's what I
the museum is not
Right.
ours,
So that's
Mount
good.
Prospect is not
thought.
ours.
Right.
All those are, I guess what they call it, any conversations that happen around those, they usually talk about us as an adjacent board. So we have an interest because we're there.
Right,
So
Oh, I
8
see.
doesn't own it any more than we do.
okay.
But if it's gonna be an adjacent board, really we're the adjacent board because it's right next to us.
Okay,
So
so
I
in that case, because we last year passed a resolution
Yes.
for Mount Prospect,
Mhm.
which we voted on. And I've been in constant conversation with
Can we
the
support
other,
it?
the organization that's been really pushing what's happening at Mount Prospect, because what I was thinking in our presentation, to present that, but I said, I was gonna ask her, why don't you go to Board 8 and have them include that as part of your presentation in the conference? This is one part we have a problem with.
Right, and that's why I mentioned it, because I don't want it to be destroyed. I don't want it to be cemented,
Right.
let's say. Okay, it's a nice private park, and to utilize that space, we show the need of the community, which will be helpful to the park. That's
Well,
what I was
then,
asking.
what I was planning to do is to speak to the Friend of Mount Prospect, the organization, to make sure they have that as part of their presentation. And from talking to them, they also have been active in community body.
Yeah.
Park
No, they definitely
recreation,
have.
you know,
They,
committee.
they
So
definitely have.
then I'm gonna follow up with them, then we can see how we can
We can
resolve.
incorporate.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I definitely
Yes.
don't want us to think that, that's not a community board 8 thing. They don't have any more right to it than we do.
Well, I'm glad to
So
learn
we can
that.
absolutely opine on that one, so
Oh,
this
oh,
position we're gonna take, we can
Good,
absolutely.
good, yay. I like that.
Well, hold on, Dante, I didn't misspeak with that, right? That's, okay, all right.
Yay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's a good clarification, because I thought they were strictly community body, because since they're after Washington now.
Right, they're across the street from it, it's not in their zone, the same way it's not
Right,
ours.
that's true. What can we do to move our boundary from Washington to
We
to
can't.
Flatbush?
We don't, nobody has residence in that
Yes.
section, that's real, you know.
Oh,
Those are public,
the,
those are public lands.
but, yes,
Botanic
yes,
Gardens, Mount
on the
Prospect,
south side of Eastern Parkway,
Museum,
yes.
all of it.
Museum, all of that
They are
stuff.
There's no resident in there.
But they are in city council districts though.
No, but then, yes.
Yes, you're right, yes.
39 House Prospect Park.
No, they are part of, they're part with
Yes, yeah.
Hudson District.
Right, that's what it says.
Yeah, he's saying-
Right.
he's saying-
Hudson District.
Community districts don't cross. Council elected districts, elected districts do cross.
Right.
Yeah, they could overlap, like
Right.
57 and stuff like that.
It's Hudson, but Hudson has been completely against it.
Yeah, she does.
What about 39? The park is entirely in District 39, no?
Which park?
Prospect Park.
No,
No,
Prospect
we're
Park.
talking
Mount
We're
Frank.
talking
Mount-
about Mount
Mount Prospect.
Mount Prospect.
Right.
That little piece
This
is
is
in-
a space
for
between the museum and
Yeah,
the
that little part,
library.
Yeah, they look, yeah.
between the library and
Library
the
and
book
the
museum.
library.
It's Mount Prospect.
Right.
So the
Such a
final,
run about there.
so the
Yeah.
final analysis, Frank, we can incorporate Mount Prospect Park so we can
Right.
see the beauty
Mhm.
and the use of this park?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's innovative.
But I just want to say something. We have a committee called Education and Museum, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of the stuff happening in the museum is a lot of stuff that coincide with what the Park Education and Culture Committee is doing. How much interaction have that youth committee had with the museum and all, I mean, with the libraries?
You
and
talking
with the
about
library?
Mount Prospect Park?
No,
No,
about the
no.
Brooklyn BPL. When was the last time BPL come and presented to you guys? Is it somebody? Because they do a lot of cultural stuff and there's a lot of, I don't know how much involvement we are within.
I haven't been paying attention to the agendas. I know that we used to have representatives come and talk at least a couple of years ago. I'm not sure about this recent year.
Yeah,
but
what
at least a
happened
couple
in
of years
3
ago.
years, except for.
They came, yeah, when we were
Yeah, a long time, yeah.
the recreation committee.
Yeah.
Have we had, how about the other
Recreation, but
public
not-
library,
not
when
the
you
library
about
ones.
not having
Because
reported
we
to
have-
you recently, what's happening in each of them?
Not recently.
Yeah,
but
you
I might
have
just see-
the one on New York Avenue, I know the one on Eastern Parkway is on, I've been here a few times, they are doing some major renovations now.
Yeah.
And they do a lot of activities that they.
And that
used
might
to
just be an
do.
outreach to them, because I'm
Yeah,
not
we
sure,
should
there might
do
have
an
been turnover
outreach
in
for
staff, because I know
Yeah.
sometimes, we're having a conversation, but if staff changes, we're not, sometimes we lose that break, there's a break there. But absolutely, we should be, there's a number of programs, to your point, there's a number of programs that run out of BPL,
Absolutely.
that we should always,
That would be good for the youth.
and even to that point, I'm glad that you're keeping those liaisons, like the Brooklyn Museum, because
Yeah,
I mean,
because we set up different institution liaison that we
Yeah.
have Brooklyn Botanical
Because we should
Garden,
always
the
keep that.
museum, Prospect Park Zoo, we have a designated person that interviews with them
Nice, nice,
every
and
time.
let's talk offline, because I want to make sure we reconnect with Major Owens as well.
Right, okay.
I know we have there's a member who's on that
My
advisory
vice
board.
chair is in the board of
Exactly.
development, and I go there at least once
So
a
I always
month.
wanna make sure that we keep in contact with these, and especially because there's so many opportunities, and with the summer coming as well,
Right,
there's internships, there's all kinds of stuff, some programming that I wanna make sure we're able to.
There have been two people come to our meetings for the past 3 months, always talking about what's happening.
Valerie, she
So
sits
we
on
need to
transportation, she works there.
be able to answer this.
do you, Valerie?
Yes.
Valerie still there, I've not
Yes.
seen her since I've been there.
All right, okay, any other questions for Park, PRC?
Is there a date for the soccer fest?
There is, and I don't have it at the top of my head, I'll try to get that.
And what's the sponsoring organization?
It's a national, even international youth soccer association.
Was it ASO?
Yeah.
AYS, yeah, that's it,
AYSO.
That's it.
yeah. That's the one.
Okay, all right, so with that, what do we have, any other committee chairs? Who did I miss?
That's it.
That's it?
Yeah.
That's it? All right, so we'll go with committee chairs. I want to thank all the chairs for the reports. Keep up the great work. We are now in our second half, but the funny thing about this is it's gonna go very quickly. Because we're already in February and it's June before we know it, so let's just make sure we're moving along. If there's anything that needs to be done, please let me, let the executive committee know and we'll push it, okay? All right, okay. We will now go to district manager's report.
I'm gonna speed through it. All right, community board applications are live, so if you need to reapply, please reapply by February 6th. They are not going to extend the application. The Refugee and Immigrant Service Center provides assistance and services to refugees in the United States with the intent of assisting these individuals in becoming employed and self-sufficient. The center serves the refugee population citywide. The current location for this facility is located in Queens on Northern Boulevard. It actually closed last Friday. The new location is opening up in Brooklyn at 25 Chapel Street, 6th floor. It actually opened today, the 20th. So if you know anyone who might need those resources, you can reach out to the board office. We'll get people connected.
For sure.
At 791 Empire Boulevard, between Troy and Schenectady Avenues, the Department of Transportation has conducted a survey and has determined additional street lighting is warranted. This specifically is in front of PS 221. It is completely dark. It's been dark for quite some time. I put in a request, so now they're taking care of that. DSS, Hope Count. On the 27th, the Department of Social Services will conduct the 21st Annual Homeless Outreach Population Estimate HOPE survey, which is a point-in-time survey to get an estimate of unsheltered New Yorkers. You might see people on the street. You might participate. Please encourage people to participate if you can. Already mentioned the Brooklyn recycling facility tour. That's in the e-blast as well. We received a 3-pager, but 1-pager, from DHCR regarding Clarkson Estates. This was a state project located at 329 Clarkson Avenue. They are opening a lottery for 163 lottery apartments.
Oh, wow, it's done already?
Apparently so. Available units range from 30 to 70% AMI. The deadline to apply is March 10th. The lottery, if I recall, will run, I think, the 25th. Folks can request an application, a paper application, by emailing clarkson@kgupright.com. So if anyone wants that application, we'll put something in the e-blast to kind of steer people toward the 1-pager.
How many units for the general low income?
I don't have that right here, but for the lottery, it was 163, and then it also mentioned that there was 164 supported units.
And remind me again, like which populations are the supported units for?
It is. Supportive units through HRA referrals. It specifically says it in here. I don't think that they explicitly put it in here, but these are right here. So
Okay.
take those as you depart.
So my recollection at the time that it came out was it was like youth aging out of foster care and formerly incarcerated. Or is there any way, like I know the agencies have their lists, but a lot of people complain like, okay, half the housing is not really for the community. Is there any way to get these agencies to prioritize people who are coming from the community, even for the supportive housing?
Yeah, I think there should be. There has to be a way, right? I mean, I'm not an elected official, so I don't have to answer for that, but
Well,
I definitely think that there is a way. I think that
Okay.
that kind of depends on all of us having those conversations.
and
Okay.
and
Kind
I
of
just want to say
steering
this
that.
very quick, and we need to get back, that kind of goes to the work that Minor Housing is doing in terms of
Mhm.
understanding what the needs are. So in terms of, that goes with it. So if we need supportive housing, what kinds of housing are we looking for? Seniors, are we looking for, some wraparound services? Are we looking for, handicap, whatever it is, but that's something that we should decide. Because to the point that Dante's saying, is like, we need to be able to go to them and go to our elected officials and say, listen, if you're bringing these resources, this is what we specifically need. As opposed to they come to us with a plan saying, this is what we decided for you. All right, but just in the interest of time, I want to make sure Dante's able to finish his report, and then we'll take questions after that. Continue.
One thing.
If we can let him finish, just hold on.
Just 1 second thing. The date for the soccer house is May 16th.
Okay,
Okay.
May 16th for the.
The sacrifice?
Yes.
Okay. The Department of Sanitation is proposing to amend its rules to include the implementation schedule for commercial waste zones. This is specifically for Midtown South and Staten Island. DSNY is going to hold that public hearing on February 18th. Why I am saying this is because we are in zone Brooklyn East and we don't have an implementation date yet. So if you want to kind of figure out what's going to happen, attend the hearings, hear the complaints, hear the thoughts, and then you could probably build your own thought and opinion about the commercialization from that. And we'll put that information in e-blast as well. We, Brooklyn Community Board 9, we are going to hold our annual citywide statement of needs for FY 27-28 public hearing on February 18th. We're going to start that at 6:30. The primary purpose of this is to get an understanding of the facilities and the needs that we have in the district. I've mentioned this every year. Every time they produce this, they explicitly put in there about shelters and citing shelters. So if you don't like shelters, show up to the public hearing. Because it's basically just an open RFP that they put in this thing. Okay, that's the third you're saying that. And then you all should have received this, but we are going to have our general board meeting at MS 61 next Tuesday, not BBG. There was a scheduling error. So we're going to be regular time, regular scheduled place next Tuesday for general board at school. That's it.
Okay, thank you very much. I didn't hear any action items for us. Questions for the DM? No questions for the DM, all right. Great. No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
It's nothing that needs to be said right now. It's just question, comment later.
Okay, thank you very much for that. So we're gonna go on, we're gonna try and, this is gonna be a very brief report, and then we're gonna go straight into the agenda setting item. Okay, so the DM already said it. Board member applications, so remember, there are no extensions. If you've already received the email, make sure you get it in on time. If you are a community, city council appointee, make sure you check with your appointer. So you can just confirm with them that they're willing to, that they want to extend you and put you back on the board under your respective community council district. Make sure you get that in. I already heard a couple of committees talked about it. Attendance, we are still checking on that. Okay, so I mean, we shouldn't be at this point where we're still having issues where you can't get quorum. I understand, some of it is seasonal. The winter time is always tough, but at the same time, we need to make sure people are showing up. If you are having still problems with people consistently not showing, please send that email to Dante and myself. We will get them off your committee, so at least that way. If you've got a hard working 3 or 4, I'll take it. But it doesn't make sense to you. You got 10 people on there and nobody shows up. They're just holding you back, keeping you from getting it. At least at this point, at the stage of the game, you need to know who you can count on. And we're just moving forward. This time of the year again, community fair. Not too early to start talking about it. So I think where are we going to? Year 4, year 5? What are we doing?
4.
It gets better every year.
It's supposed to be the weekend after the Memorial Weekend. That's the only thing we spoke about. If
That's typically what we look at. I think some of those details
That's a
usually.
tentative date, we could say.
Any
That's,
date,
yeah.
definitely.
But typically we've
The
had that.
first Saturday in June, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Typically we. Yeah.
First Saturday in June.
Yeah.
Well, what I would urge every committee to prepare for you to share the information on the table.
Mhm.
And if they have any idea what they like to contribute in terms of activities
Absolutely.
to do that. So
Absolutely, and I'm asking for all the chairs that are here, please make sure you bring that back to your committees, if there's any ideas you wanna try, if there's different things you wanna try. Please share that with the district manager and the team sooner rather than later, because some of these have a long tail in terms of being able to get commitments early, so make sure you please share that information.
I know this is kind of weather dependent, but I felt that we got much better turnout when it was outdoors than indoors.
well, the last one was indoors, right?
Yeah.
No, I think outdoors is the preferred place. As a matter of fact, one of the idea we had discussed is not really to have it as a street fair.
Yeah, that was
That,
great.
let's say in that block, right next door.
Right.
No stand between, right in front because they are met guy, so that area is not, doesn't have to have a lot of space where you don't have too many housing. You may not have to take the whole block. You
You
could
mean
take-
right here, over here?
Right, yeah, right over
Instead
there,
of going up there?
right,
Interesting.
to
Yeah.
bring it in the middle of that, and I think you have a lot high traffic area over
Exactly.
here.
Right. Well, just in the interest of, I don't want to
This
get
is
too much
something
into
to
the.
consider,
No, absolutely, and those are considerations, and please make sure you send those kinds of suggestions to the district office.
right,
Because again, sometimes it's gonna be about availability, it's gonna be about depending on what kinds of activities we have.
right.
Some may be more suited to say, no, listen, block party style, do it that way. Depending on the activities, it maybe it's like, we might need a more open space, or we might want something accessible, accessibility might be an issue. But all to say is, now's the time to start thinking about it, have that conversations with the committees, and please start sending that information towards the district office so they can make inquiries or whatever else. Along those same lines, I'm glad to always hear about the different events and things that we're doing. Remember, if it's an event that you're looking to have, especially if there's a budget required, well, actually for all events, we always ask that you fill out that budget form, because it really helps as an event guide in terms of making sure you're answering the questions that we would want to have as a board before we approve an event. So in other words, what's your venue? Who are you gonna have? What resources do you need? What do you need in terms of facility? Do you need AV? All those kinds of things. So even if it's a zero budget, at the very least, by the time it comes before the exec and it goes before the board, the question's already answered, so that way we're not having debates or we're not having Q&As about what is the event. We understand everything and all the pertinent questions are pretty much answered up front. It's a much shorter conversation. So please make sure you use those forms. And also, by doing that, it also makes sure that we're not doing things that, I think we should do this like 2 days before something's supposed to happen. Let's make sure we're doing the appropriate planning so that way we can do these things. And if you need the forms, they're available from the district office. Dante can forward them, and if there's any questions about it, the office can handle that as well. As we talked about a new year, so there's a new administration now. I think that there are a lot of things that we're still trying to figure out in terms of what direction they're going. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't start having our conversations and coming up with our wish lists in terms of what we would like to see or ask we have for the administration before he bakes in everything that he wants to have. So let's make sure that we're doing that. It's a conversation. I want us to be bold. I want us to be daring. I want us to ask for whatever it is we want to have. So this is the time, and especially let's strike right now while we have that open conversation.
In addition to that, within that same check, the board presidents are running for Nydia Velasquez for Congress. So
Yeah.
we gotta be aware of that. Actually, he had his kickoff rally this week.
Yeah, Saturday.
So what can we get from Bo Hall, because now he's gonna be more busy campaigning to become Congress member than running the bar.
Well, here's the thing. The thing that doesn't work for us is that we're not in his congressional district. So.
Right.
So he's really not listening to anything we have to say. But
You guys listened before.
Exactly.
But to that point though, we should be positioning ourselves in terms of whoever's gonna come in. We should be positioning ourselves that whoever comes in or whoever's in the seat does need to listen to us.
Right.
So we should be having those kinds of conversations and making sure that we're very direct with the asks that we have.
Is there gonna be a special election if he does win?
No, I don't think so,
Yes.
because
What is
she's
Yeah.
she just decided to retire at the end
No,
of
for
it.
No,
his,
what
for the
happens
borough
is-
president job.
I
If
think
the
it will
board
be- I think
president,
it
they
will be-
probably may have
I
to do
believe so.
Yeah, 'cause
a
he's
special
leaving-
election.
Yeah,
because-
because there's no
He'll
succession.
be leaving midterm, so yeah.
Because it's gonna be
midterm,
in
so
the
you
midst
need
of
the
his,
special. If it was general,
They probably will have a special election.
Okay, last piece I also want us to look at is we'll
But
talk
the
about.
question is if he wins. If he doesn't win, then he still will remain the board.
Is he gonna retire?
Who? Nydia Velasquez is
She's
retired.
not running for office again.
Who?
I don't think she's running.
No, she's retired.
She's
Yeah,
retired.
she's
That's
been
why
there quite a
our
long
nurse
time.
is running for her
Retired.
job. But she
I
also
think he
didn't
has a
endorse
good
him.
shot because she's.
Well, she's already
Well,
announced
hold on.
it.
Let's just make sure because I know we've been here for a minute.
Oh, she did. She
Okay,
did.
hold on. I just want to make sure. Let's stay
got an email that
focused.
she
Let's
did.
come back to the order of the day. Let's finish the meeting, and we have the meeting after the meeting.
right.
The last piece I also actually had as well is infrastructure and the infrastructure and the structure of our board. I'm encouraging everyone to think about, how we're doing and what we could do better. And if we need to be taking different forms or changing jobs as well, just so that way we're functioning better. I know we've had the conversation before. One of the things I do want to make sure comes up for a vote before the year is out is in terms of the structure of our committees. Education, library, and youth services, we've been talking about it for a while, about potentially combining those two committees. I think it's perhaps time we do pull the trigger on that. As we do that, maybe some restructuring in terms of, I think that library might be better served as well, you know, in terms of, if you're already doing parks, recreation, culture, perhaps libraries goes in there, perhaps. But I mean, I think those are the kinds of conversations we wanna have in terms of what that best looks like. And even in terms of functions where they're placed, right now liquor licenses are with public safety. Do they need to stay there? Is it a public safety issue or is it an economic issue? So, yeah, things to think about. I'm not saying that we do it, but those are the kinds of things, conversations I want us to have. Even in terms of the board structure and the leadership, you know, what does,
Drinking down there, that's why you want that.
Yeah, you're trying to lure our kids in there to give them shots, huh?
Or you could put it in the health committee, right?
could be, and you know, and I'm not prejudging any of it. I'm saying is, those are conversations. And listen, you know, even to that extent, I've seen other boards where all the licensing goes to a licensing committee. So they have franchises, anything that has to do with franchises goes to those committees. All just thoughts, for things for us to think about in terms of, we are not doomed to keep doing things the way we've been doing it for the last 40 years. If we think it's gonna be better, if we think we get more bang for the buck, absolutely think about that. And as we think about that, I even want us to think about the leadership. I think it's safe to say is like, you know, I've been chair for the last 6 years. One of the things I've always said is I'm not going to be chair for 35 years like, you know, previous chairs. So I want us to think about the transition. I want us to think about succession and even beyond me. Because, you know, I think per the city charter, we are going to have term limits. They will hit sooner rather than later.
Yeah, that was a
So
discussion.
the one thing we don't want is for this board to all of a sudden lose a certain percentage and all of a sudden half the institutional memory goes out.
What are the term limits
I believe,
for everyone on the board?
no, so it's 8 years, so
It's
people
8
get
years
4
from now,
consecutive 2-year
Yeah.
terms. So we're getting ready to bump up on that one. I wanna say I might be in part of that first cohort.
Camp Run and I.
Yeah, so we will be on the way out the door at some point pretty soon.
And,
You know, I may come and haunt you guys from the back or something.
yeah, and
But
you
the
have to
idea-
wait 2 years to come back.
Come
Yeah,
back.
it's 4 years. You take a,
After 8 years, you have to wait 2 years, then you can apply.
I don't think it's even that long, I thought it was a year.
After
Yeah,
that, that was
no,
a discussion,
it's a
after
full-
that,
it's
that was
a-
not a big
it's a full-term
discussion.
break.
Oh, full
So
term?
you get 4 terms and then you're gonna take a 1-term break.
Well, all to say that,
Yeah.
you know, the one thing we don't wanna have is everybody flies out the door
Yeah,
and
the
we
same
don't
day.
know exactly how things happen.
Yeah.
And you know, I think it's a disservice to the community, if we don't say, listen, we set up the next generation of leadership. So I want us to think about
But
that.
it's hard when they're not even on the board.
No, but you know, but then how do we bring them in? And that's part of the conversation, how do we bring them in?
Very
You know,
difficult.
how do we bring people in?
But the things that we're doing, that's how we bring them
I
in.
know.
And you know what,
Now,
here's the
what
thing.
do we want?
But it goes back to saying, you know, I want us to be willing to say, are we reaching everybody who
They
could
wanna come,
reach?
they wanna come.
Because there may be some people who really do not know about CB9 yet, but we wanna figure out how to identify them and how do we get them to believe in the mission in terms of the work we're doing. So I want us to think about that, that's gonna be a conversation that's gonna be live, dynamic. If there are questions, I wanna think about how do we keep institutional knowledge. Part of the reason why I'm looking at that now is because I don't wanna fly out the door and all of a sudden it's like, okay, there's somebody sitting in a chair that doesn't know anything or whatever else, or we didn't give them, or we
Well,
didn't give
that's
them.
why what Felice was talking about, keeping a running list of everything that we've asked for over the decades.
Exactly, and those are the kinds of things, so I
Yeah, you
mean,
don't wanna do that.
keeping the task list, keeping those resolutions, making sure that there's a memory, making sure that there's a transition. Cause my expectation is I'm going to hand over the gavel gladly to someone, and I'm gonna go back to the spot I started. I'm gonna be a board member and I'm here to support.
No.
The thing is, we need trainings too.
And that's
we
the
need
thing.
like a little welcome package, if it's virtual, fine.
Yeah.
But you don't need to get like a little package containing, here's what Robert's rules are, how they work, here's what boards do in the first place,
Right.
and here's where we slot in.
Committee should do.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah.
talking there, people in the area, come on.
And this is exactly the conversation that I want to happen, where we're thinking about the things where it's like, okay, well, listen, you know, do we have this or we don't have that?
Yeah.
No, maybe we should get it.
Cause I think right now, like when I joined, the borough hall did a sort of a welcome
Yeah.
thing, they did the swearing in and they gave
We
you
do
like
that
a little
every-
presentation.
Right.
But I think we leave too much up to them, we should have something that we give to people as they join, to say, all right, hopefully you got your,
Right.
because some people miss their ceremony, and they miss all that. We should be adding some of what we have. We should be like doing part of that work as well.
Well, and and part of that
People
is,
are doing.
I know one of the asks I've done for Borough Hall is I've asked them to can a lot of their stuff. So that's why I think one of the good things they've done is, if there was a land use meeting, training, and you missed it, hey, here's the link, you can still get it.
It's a good going.
And that's a good thing to do.
Yeah, but
And as we
should
do it, I
have
want us to think about, okay, well, listen, if Borough Hall's doing something, we don't need to do that necessarily. So let's think about the things that Borough Hall is doing, or the things we have access, or if there's somebody in the space doing it. But there'll be some other stuff that, no, on the ground in CB9, we do that here.
Yeah, man.
So also to add to that, maybe Borough Hall might do some trainings, but you can. We probably should not recreate it, but we should still direct folks to it. So like when people join the ULEP committee, they should get those ULEP trainings in their inbox, and vice versa. They should know what they're going to.
Yeah, because there's those street books that they could read and see. Like
Absolutely.
MIAs.
Like some required reading, something.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
absolutely. So I just wanted to put that out there in terms of the conversation as we're in the new year and as we're going, very, very quickly. I want us to keep this in mind as we prepare, for the rest of this year and the next couple of years that we're doing.
One last question, I neglected to ask it during the safety committee. When are we gonna get the precinct commander to address the community board?
Thank you for saying that, because, anyway, yes, we're gonna try and get him to come ASAP.
Isn't that the new role?
I missed
Isn't
it.
the new
What
role
did he
person?
say?
Precinct commander, whoever, 71st
NCO?
precinct, they've
well,
been
here's the
promising to come.
For
Very-
years.
Yeah.
Very, very, very quickly, just to make sure that we're all level set. So, Kat, to your point, they have changed, they are no longer NCOs, now they are, oh gosh, I'm forgetting what they call them now. Quality of life team. Quality of life teams now, so that's what they have, that's replaced the NCO system. So, the quality of life team actually did come to a public safety meeting maybe 2 or 3 meetings ago. They did come, but I'm gonna invite them to come back in, to just talk about it again, and I think it's important that they come in, especially because now that there's a change of administration, I think it's always good to see if there's any change in the way they're doing this. And not to mention that, because now that they've been here 3 months, what have you done? I think it's good to ask them that. What impact are you doing? What have you learned, or what are you gonna have to do different?
Are you gonna ask them to come to general or public
Both,
safety?
I think they should come to both, at
Typically,
least.
here's the thing, I will probably try to invite them to the public safety, but making sure that the agenda is out there. And the only reason why I usually try to do that is because we have such limited time at the general board meetings. They're probably gonna need more than 5 minutes, I couldn't give them more than 5 or 7 minutes, and they need more than 5 to 7 minutes. So that might be something where it's like, I would either make sure that we're gonna have them on the agenda, invite everybody to come, or to the point that I was saying with Mina, it's like, sometimes we can build standalone events where it's like, no, we're gonna have NYPD, this is an NYPD meet and greet, come in here, talk to the precinct commander, talk to
Yeah.
everyone else. And going back to your original point about the precinct commander, we've extended that invitation, but I'm gonna make sure we do that again, because he's gonna be on the job, in a year or pretty soon. And, he does need to come and speak to the board. So we'll make sure that's an item we'll take care of.
Okay, cool. So,
Yes.
on the subject of board structure and presentations by Borough Hall, I did ask, Carol Ann if we could do a training session on 197A plans. Cause I think it's something that comes up often, he's interested in comprehensive planning. I know Nicholas, you mentioned the other night, about 197A
Right.
and comprehensive planning, but it's something that a lot of us don't know a lot about because it's not something that's been done in a very long time. So I was asking, can they show us examples of plans that have been done before, what it entails, how it works? Cause I think a lot of the things that come up that we all talk about that might cross committees or, how do we achieve certain strategic objectives that we all know we're interested in, but, we can't just wait for stuff to happen to us, right? So how do we get there? What's the way that this is done?
No, absolutely. So you already spoke to her, so let me check in with her as well to see what her timetable is in terms of getting that done.
Yeah, I think that would be really helpful just for people to kind of understand.
I'm curious, and that might be something we should ask her as well, is in terms of there've been so many changes in terms of the way the boards work and a number of the other things, and even the responsibility, with the amendments that they recently did. I wanna see how that affects the 197A process.
It does, the ballot amendments did not affect 197A. That's still something that communities have the right and the ability to do.
Right.
And I think in fact, the city council really wanted like more districts to do it. I mean, as opposed to like the city coming in and saying, this is what our plan is for you, right? And so I think that's probably like one of the better ways under the charter for us to like push back and have a, you know, I don't want to say, because we're still allowed to do that.
No, absolutely. Okay. All right. Any other questions with regards to my report? Okay, hearing none. Let's get to this last item and then we can let people go home. All right. Okay. So, last item is the agenda for the board meeting. So, we have this public session. We have call to order. We have call to order. We have the rules of conduct. Dante?
Yeah.
Do we have any presentations, any requests for presentations?
For general board,
Yeah,
no.
okay. All right, then we have, SLA applications. And for the SLA applications, we have, I think that's it, was it Rancido? Rinconcito.
What did you say? After SL,
No, SLA applications, it's two applicants,
we got it.
Rinconcito,
Okay.
and we have,
Albert.
Zurli.
Okay.
And Zurli, and then after that, we will have, sorry, I'm just trying to get this. After that, we will have public commentary. Then we'll have acknowledgements. Then we go into the business session. Begin with roll call. After roll call, we will have the approval of minutes. After which we will have committee reports. Okay, remember for all the chairs, I think this should be relatively short. I think the only thing we have in terms of action items, well,
No,
yeah, so make sure everyone gets their minutes in.
Yeah.
And if you are chair, if you have quick announcements, less than a minute, that's fine, we'll allow those,
if not,
okay? So then after the committee reports, then we'll have the DM report. Madam Treasurer, do you have a report for this month, or you're good for this month?
she ain't got money.
Exactly. I don't remember if we did one last time.
I think we waived that.
We waived it.
Yeah, we just had the paper.
We had the.
Okay, no, so you submitted a report, it just,
Yeah.
yeah, okay,
Yeah.
that's fine,
Okay, you didn't speak on it.
okay,
No, she didn't.
okay, so then we'll have the chair report,
Was it?
then we will go into voting session. So for the voting session, I have the two SLA applications.
No, we don't have to, other old business.
Yeah, we don't have any old business as far as I
New
understand.
business.
So then after that, we'll go to new business. New business, again, reminder to everyone, this is to introduce items that need to get referred to committee or only if it's an
Yes.
urgent item that we have to decide. Otherwise, we should be tabling or referring to committee,
Adjournment.
and then we will adjourn.
Who's the chair?
Okay, let's look at timeframes. Yes.
Why do we always have to put a voting session at the last? Could we not just move that up so that we get it out of the way?
The voting session?
Because the only two SLAs is not, not that big of a, or whatever. I just, maybe not right now, but we can look at it in the future to rearrange this space.
We could, but how do I trap people if, have them go early?
But then we might
But
not
some of them
have quorum.
leaving and last week, last meeting, I had a hard time trying to track who was still there. I thought that.
No, I understand, and and
I
this,
thought that Saul was there to the end. That time the Saul only come for the attendance. I was gone.
understand, and you know what?
Messed my thing up.
Well, let's finish this piece and let's talk about that offline a little
Yes,
bit. We'll talk
yes.
about that offline.
Good.
All right, timeframes. So, sir, first vice chair, so SLA applications, what we usually do for
It can be about
It's only
6. They take 3 minutes for each
3 minutes per? Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine.
6 minutes.
3 minutes, yeah, 3
Two
minutes.
each. Okay.
Public comment is 30. Acknowledgements, we usually budget how much?
Usually about 10.
10. Business session, approval of minutes, committee reports, none, DM report.
Well, committee
What-
reports usually end
Maybe along.
up to 5 or 10.
I don't think we even do that.
Like we already got the whole thing.
Yeah, committee reports, like I said, unless there's a quick announcement, 5 committees, I don't see more than 5 committees doing it. We can budget 5 minutes, but I don't think it should be. All right, DM report, how long do we usually give for the DM and the chair?
Y'all take
Today he was
between
alone.
6 and 8 minutes each, so I would say 8 for that.
Good. Fine.
I timed y'all like 5 times. It's about 8
You're
for
not
that
here
day.
first, I'm doing 5.
How much you doing?
5 or less.
For you?
5, no, let me not say that.
It's gonna be a little range. I'll say
You gotta
give
get
yourself
some
about-
Give me
Six
the
seconds.
6 minutes, 'cause I think people have
Right.
questions, yeah.
Good.
I'll take the 6. Dante, same thing, 6?
Yeah.
Okay. Voting session, there's only 2
Me too,
items.
so that's 5.
I'll say 10, let's just give 10 minutes.
10.
10?
10 minutes
Yeah,
for the
people,
vote, for the vote.
have you met TB9?
Maybe
People don't.
discuss them
People
upfront,
don't.
just-
Yeah,
People talk and they ask
Yeah.
questions.
10 minutes for the vote.
Alright, okay. Good thing it's only 2, so
Yeah,
5 in
exactly.
trouble.
All right, then new business and then adjournment.
5.
Okay, all right,
Adjournment.
so,
Looks like a short meeting.
All right.
Yeah, we can make it.
don't jinx anything. All right, are there any items that are missing from the agenda that need to be added?
I think we can make it.
Okay, hearing none. This time I will entertain a motion to adopt this agenda. I have it moved by Mr. Albanor,
Second.
seconded by Second Vice Chair Robertson. Moved and seconded. Any other unreadiness, any questions? Hearing none. Is there any objection to adopting this agenda by common consent?
No.
Hearing none. The agenda is therefore adopted and will be the agenda for our January 2026 meeting. Thank you very much. All right, other business. Is there any other business for the executive committee at this time? Yes,
You
Kat?
never responded to my email about
Let's
appreciation
talk-
day at Little Most. I'm
let's-
just saying, put it here so we can hold you accountable.
No, absolutely. Listen, there's a stick over there. You get that one. You can hit me with that one right after this meeting. I got you. Let's get on the calendar with that. Yes, sir.
One last thing, I just got an email from MTOP regarding that environmental landfill. Do you know anything about it, about,
There's Suki had reported about that. There is a lawsuit for
the lawsuit was in court today, supposedly.
yes. So I'm not sure what
Tomorrow,
the tomorrow, right?
It's the 21st or
Tomorrow,
today?
it's
Oh, it's
tomorrow.
tomorrow.
It's for tomorrow.
What if
yes.
this is a-
So yeah, so that's a lawsuit by 2 residents in the district. So there'll be updates, I guess, at the next time.
That's not for us, right?
No.
Okay, good.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? Any other business? Hearing none. Thank you, everyone.
Motion to adjourn?
Yeah, complete our agenda. We are now adjourned.
Adjourned.
Madam Secretary,
What's the
please note the time, 9:47. 9:47.
9:47?
Yes.
Mr. Sir? You taking some of this?
Hold on.
Okay, Dante, you can turn on the camera.
Say that on 10 years.
Turn the camera.